Hey everybody, Rolllands UK, Matt, Tom, Ash, and waiting for others as well. We're just getting set up here. Thank you to Lost Oceans on Twitch for the 5 tier 1 gifted subs right off the bat, saying donating some subs for some beer chugs to celebrate 10 wins. Thank you to you, and well done to Flyod Condor, Recooper, SR, Crewneck Lion, Slightly Size, and that guy Dicky. Enjoy your gifted subs. Boys, how you doing?
I'm all right. I'm just trying to finish off listening to the Stan Campbell presser song.
You focus on that. I'm good. How are things with you?
Good. Last week before Christmas, December deadlines are looming large, so I am bloody busy, really busy. How about you?
I feel that a lot. That's okay. I mean, it's this time of year, and then we get a nice little break. Hopefully, you get a break between Christmas and New Year a bit. So
Mandatory,
Yeah.
office time off, not open. Although I will be logging on, and I will not get credit for it. But never mind. It is what it is. I'm sure you have similar.
Yeah, something like that.
How was Sweden?
It was good. It was bloomin' cold. Let's go with that. Yeah, there were highs of -11, I think, on the main day I was there. And that high was at 4 a.m. because basically it was just doing that. So it got colder as the day went on, even during the middle of the day. But it was cool. I mean, Sweden's a really cool place. I don't know if anyone who's watching right now would heavily recommend Stockholm as a trip. Probably tougher to do from the US, but if you're somewhere in Europe, then yeah, would recommend.
Just for the American listeners, the high of 11 degrees Celsius is 12 degrees Fahrenheit, which is cold.
I'm amazed that's still not that's still positive Fahrenheit. Ooh.
Yeah, it's still chilly, but
Yeah.
my word. Brian Shook just said it's at -11 in euros. Yeah, so there we go. 12 degrees Fahrenheit. Hello to everyone in the YouTube chat as well. Buckeye and MI, Mile High, Lisa Di Lorenzo, already mentioned Brian Shook, Prism Mike. I'm presuming Mile High. Yes, as our Denver fan, I'm sure. Who else do we have? Austin Damon, Geordie Mansion. If any of you guys are watching and would like a shout out, come say hi. Lost Ocean says it's cold, but not that cold for winter here in the Midwest. Currently 28 Fahrenheit here. So, well, that's substantially higher than 12. So it's not the best. But anyway.
And that was just to be clear, that was just one day. The following day, it was like fine. It was just happened to be the one day I was there. But
so I've been to Lapland at Christmas. I was 7 years old, and that was a low temperature of -37.
Celsius.
-37 Celsius.
Okay,
minus
what's
34 and a half Fahrenheit.
Just insane.
I think there was 2 hours of daylight, which I'm sure is probably similar Sweden.
Yeah, it's a little bit more than a minute. I think it got light about 9, got dark about 2:30, something like that. But it does make, I mean, like I say, when it was that temperature the other day, and you hear about the games these guys play in freezing weather, just insane.
I remember kicking
Like
rugby balls at like
yeah,
freezing temperatures, maybe 1 or 2 degrees, and it's lower than that. And it is like kicking a brick. It's horrid.
and obviously there's so much more give in a rugby ball versus a football. So like how those guys do it, but also just like every hit, every impact, you just
Oh,
it
the
must
worst.
be
Lost
brutal.
Oceans just said we had a winter here a year or two ago where with wind chills it went below 50 degrees Fahrenheit, which is like,
Yeah, I can't hack that.
oh, that's not right. I had no idea where I was going with this, but hey, great game for you to come on and recap. I tell you what, this is the first game all year where I've watched the all 22 before we chat.
Yeah,
Because most of the time with work and whatever, I just don't have time. But with the extra days break between the shows, I've actually been able to watch it, and it might be the best offensive performance I've seen all year from us.
best offensive, interesting.
Just so, I mean, defensive is clear, I think, but
Yeah,
offensive, some of the design stuff was so good, and it probably will go overlooked, but the number of times LaPorta comes across a formation in line from right to left and blocks off the defensive end during a play-action pass from shotgun.
Yeah.
So you got the running back on Goff's left, LaPorta on Goff's right,
Yeah.
fake handoff to running back as the defensive end's coming in unblocked, and then LaPorta pulls over and just hammers it before, and then Goff pulls out right to throw. It's like, it's just so beautiful. And a lot of the stretch run plays were great. Lots of pulling tackle work, and it was executed really, really well.
Yeah, it's like the execution was great, and obviously we'll come to talk about this, but it just felt like there was a massive weight taken off everyone. And I know that's probably because of how the game went, but even from the get-go, obviously, I mean, I can't remember exactly, but the offense, those first 2 drives did nothing, and it was still kind of calm. Like, it wasn't too big of a deal. Defense obviously was playing really nicely, but it just felt like everyone had something lifted from them.
Yeah.
And that includes the play callers, right? As in, it felt that way with the coaches, and even when the defense got a stop. I mean, like I said, we're going to talk about it, but guy like Anzalone is there and like patting AG on the back, like literally, not figuratively. So it just felt like there was a really good energy about everything in that game, pretty much from the get-go.
I was going to say, I've got a theory on I'm stealing it from Ash from DLP, but I agree with it from what I've seen about why the offense was so bad in that first quarter.
Oh, yeah.
And even then, it wasn't too bad.
No, I mean, it didn't end up costing us, right? Because defense played well, and obviously then they were just unbelievable from that point on, just so clinical.
I mean, the great thing is that apart from 1 3 and out, those 3 drives ended in punts, but 2 of them were from midfield. Like, it wasn't like they weren't moving the ball. They just couldn't finish 3rd and long early. And that happens. The one big minus from those 3 series was that we couldn't pin them deep, because if we put them within the 5, which you'd expect Jack Fox to do, then you're putting them under real pressure, and we kind of bailed them out a couple of times early with that. But
it's an interesting, again, the firstly, I mean, we'll come on to it. Goff took a sack. I think, was it the first series? Where it's just like we're in field goal range, and then we lose 8 yards and we're out. And it's just like, second series 5. Yeah. That was frustrating.
Yeah, from their 32, and he got sacked by, is it DJ Jones?
Oh, the tackle, yeah. So like that was frustrating, but whenever you get like a 4th and 8, 4th and 10 from that part of the field, especially if you're just outside field goal range. I know we talked about this a couple weeks ago, I think, or whenever it was, about the probabilities of whether you should do it or not. But how often do you see that punt end up at the 20-yard line? Either because, I mean, normally just because the guy pretends to kind of take a catch on the 10-yard line, it goes over his head and goes into the end zone. But it's so hard to get worthwhile field position where you do pin someone inside the 5 there. The part of me is just like, you may as well go for it on 4th and 8, 4th and 10, even if you've got a 25% conversion rate. Because it feels like genuinely 50% of the time they're starting at the 20 anyway. But I'm sure there's lots of analytics done on that specifically, but it's so frustrating to watch how many times that seems to happen.
I mean, so it was from the 39-yard line, and it was 4th and 12. So I actually think
4th and 12, but
I still think the play there is field goal. And like, similar sort of thinking, apart from the fact that I'm maybe taking a 35 or 40% shot to take 3 points instantly, as opposed to still maybe not scoring even if you get a conversion, because from that far away, you've still got to make some plays. It's not like it's 4th and 5 from a 4th and goal from the 5 or something, where it's like you score instantly if you convert. But
for sure,
I don't know. It's going to be interesting. We have got Ryan coming in now. I don't know if Ant is on. I might just wait for Ryan to come in and then start, and if Ant comes in, then he does. I love Dan McGuinness. Just coming in hot. Get the F in, lads. I can imagine.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Ant's not on, because it's the famous Toastery Bowl right now.
The what now?
What?
The famous Toastery Bowl. It's one of the bowl games. He's probably watching that because it's Old Dominion, West Kentucky.
Oh, he does like a bit of Old Dominion.
Yeah.
There we go. How you doing, Ryan?
Yeah, not bad. You guys?
Oh, good.
Yeah. All good. Happy?
Content.
Tough man to please.
It takes a lot to win me over, but I'm content. Pleasantly surprised.
I'll take it. Lions 1910 says, I think it was the most complete game the Lions have played this season. Dan Pask is also in the building, and Mike the Marine. Brian Shook says, I don't get that punters never angle it out as opposed to hoping the ball takes a fieldable bounce for the coverage.
I agree with you, man.
Yeah.
There was a punt this weekend
did it.
where I saw, not us, but someone else got one out of the one earlier yesterday. I can't remember who it was.
But Fox kicked for the corner, to use a rugby term. I think kicked for the corner, but it went out like the 15, right?
No, we mean the 29.
29, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't.
So
because it's me and Matt remember.
So this was the very first punt of the game, and he shanked it, and the referee marked it out initially at the 15.
Okay.
And then on review, they put it all the way out to the 29. And I've watched it back, and I can see why the referee marks it where he did, and why they marched it back.
Really?
Okay.
The referee saw where it went out, and he basically marked it where it bounced, or near where it bounced.
Rather than where it crossed the...
It didn't do anywhere near where it crossed the plane. It's like that rugby sort of...
Yeah.
It was just rubbish. Mike is
remember
asking for Hank on the show. I don't know if Hank's available.
Not currently, no.
It's like, because I remember the reason I remember exactly why that punt was because me and you were so confused, weren't we? We were like, is that the 15? What? Like, did we miss a play? Why
We've missed a play. Like, why have they marched out 20 yards? So annoying. Lisa just said no, it was a 15. I've watched the all 22 of the punt. It definitely goes out at the 29 with the angle he just does. But never mind. Shall we get this show on the road?
If we must.
Do it.
Ash, I hesitate to ask, was it you who changed the name?
Yes.
Because I am stunted when it comes to 90s hip-hop and rap. So, I had never heard this song before.
You what?
No.
I've never heard it.
I've only just seen it, but I mean, my musical knowledge is pretty, let's go with bang average, but pretty weak. And even I've got that.
Okay, but I listen to like Metallica, and that's basically where I'm at. Like, I don't have
They
much
haven't covered
variety.
this song.
I listened to Steps in S Club 7. So...
Yeah, fair. Dan's asking what the title is. You're going to find out in 5 seconds' time. Let's do this.
Recording in progress.
Welcome to another edition of the Roar of the Lions UK podcast, episode 241. I got 5 on it. My name's Matthew Turner alongside Ryan McCluskey, Sam LaPorta. No, it's Ashley Soden and Tom Wilkinson. You've got Sam LaPorta in your name. I'm like, that's not your name.
Yes.
Oh, buddy, you bastard. How you doing, boys?
Doing great now. This past minute and a half has been rough for you right now.
How you doing,
I'm
guys?
much better than last week.
Good.
Yeah, and energy's different this week, isn't it? It's amazing what a win can do.
I'm
And
an 8 out of 10 this week.
Oh, wow. What is going to take a 10 for you? God.
Ask me again next Monday.
beating Matthew Stafford in the first round of the playoffs is gonna make you hit that 10, right?
I mean, the longer it goes on, the more that looks likely as a matchup.
Yeah.
It really does. Especially if we run the table and knock the Vikings out of the playoffs, even more likely.
Yeah. That, and then week after facing Matt Patricia's defense, because I know people have seen it. Because supposedly the size literally has been demoted. Matt Patricia is now the Philadelphia Eagles defensive coordinator.
Well, that's our show.
Yeah.
Oh God, the world has ended. It's all over. Get in the bunker. War is coming. Matt Patricia's back in the NFL.
Looking after the worst defense in the league, just for the record. I actually hadn't put those two things together yet, but
Yeah, there we go. Right, boys, we are breaking down, of course, the Broncos at Lions game. But first, we've got to talk about our Discord channel. Great place to be all the way through the week. Would love to have you all there. And I'm going to put a link in the live chat right now. Going to be a great place to be for the playoffs. And of course, the Lions are. I mean, I think even if they don't win another game now, they'll be in. I think 8 wins might get there. So 10's definitely going to do it for the Lions. So come and hang out with us on our Discord channel. College Football Podcast. Ryan, what are you going to be talking about this week?
Last week we looked at the first half of the bowl games from like last Saturday to I think tomorrow. Wednesday we'll look at the next part. Last week we looked at the winners of the awards. I imagine pretty soon we're going to start doing some Senior Bowl stuff. That roster's basically been announced. We'll probably, let's be honest, it's the draft. It's basically the draft now. Like I say, the playoffs are aware. Like I say, so yeah, it's more going to be player focused. It's basically just me and Anne picking our favourite players, and you all have to listen to us. And we'll tell you who the Lions should choose. I didn't get it wrong. But yeah, right now it's bowl game season. I did terribly last week, so we'll talk about that. Bowl games, it's like shutting your eyes and just trying to pin the donkey because every player just sits out after you pick them. So yeah, we're firmly in the middle of that right now. But yeah, all-star games, we'll probably start looking at those soon as well. Bit of pre-draft coverage. So yeah, it's a good place to be right now. Also the playoffs as well. My prediction for the FCS champion is almost come true. So yeah, well, we'll be looking at that as well.
I love it. When you say that it's like pinning the tail on the donkey, is the fact that I'm winning the pick watch right now bad then?
Oh, God.
I'm 6-1 through the first 7 of our games. Just beautiful. And I think we've all picked the same teams for the next 3 games, apart from Ryan, you've gone for Syracuse over USF. Oh, a few people picked Western Kentucky tonight as well. Anyway, talk about more on the college show. Don't forget to like the show, sub to the podcast, all that good stuff. You know what to do. And add Lions Nation Unite on their Facebook group. That's facebook.com/group/Lions Nation Unite. Herman Moore's project for the best in Lions content creators together. We're Twitch affiliated, YouTube monetized, tip jar down below. If you're enjoying what you're listening to, want to show some love, those are the ways to do it. Much appreciated. But you just being here is enough for us. And the feedback forms down below too. If you've got any suggestions, let us know. And just want to shout out Brian Shook in the YouTube chat for saying Matt Patricia, DC, Darius Slay inactive, ? Which is an interesting connection. Sorry?
I think Slay's got an injury, that's why. But we won't be surprised
when
he comes back.
Injury.
But there's a podcast on Twitter yesterday, and they were just ripping into him, and he's quote tweeted it. I think his time in Philadelphia has already come to an end. Who wants a reunion next year?
Me.
I would give a 3rd round pick for Darius Slay. Just saying.
Gardner Johnson and Darius Slay next year on the Lions. It's not out of the realms of possibility.
Can you imagine Dan Campbell having Darius Slay? I think that's a terrific match. Those two would get on like a house on fire. And Glenn as well would love him. Oh, that works really well, actually. I'm going to move on before I get excited. News time! Frank Ragnow, boys, played less than 2 weeks after reported meniscus surgery, and Dan Campbell has confirmed today, he said Frank did not want to let the rest of his teammates down. And we'll come on to this later, but the difference between Frank being in the team and Frank being out of the team is remarkable. The fact that he could come back from something like this, boys, is a testament to who he is.
I think he's just become accustomed to playing uncomfortable, playing in pain. Unfortunately, it's become a second nature to him. And I'm making the most of Frank while I've got him, because there's going to come a point where he just says, it's too tough. Or like I say, the toes, the feet, the ankles, the knees. He's give it a few years, he'll call it a day. But yeah, right now, I've seen the stats today when we play our best 5-0 line, and they are mind-boggling. Like I say, it's just the best in the NFL, the Lions, when we've got a certain set. So yeah, I'm just crossing everything. I'll give him my meniscus. I'll give him whatever toes he needs because, well, mine are terrible. So they're ugly, but they work. He can have them if he needs them.
I mean, it must be good for Goff. I'm going to reference, I think it was said on the Pride of Detroit interview with him, but it's now hit TikTok the past couple of days. I bet Goff's really happy because he's not having to deal with Graham Glassell's swamp ass anymore.
Oh, you went there. You went there. Yeah, I've seen that on a different podcast with people talking about it, and it's just rough.
Yes, Kurt Benker, exactly, yeah.
Oh, it was so horrible. Oh, right. Let's swiftly move on to the next one. Jerry Jacobs suffered a hamstring injury and did not return in the game. Jamo and Barnes apparently are okay, per Dan Campbell's press conference earlier today. Sam LaPorta continues to break records in this game. Let me just have a look at the list of them. He has... Is it 10 now or 9?
9.
9 receiving touchdowns this season. That's a single-season franchise record among tight ends for the Lions, veterans and rookies, and a record for all rookie players for the Lions, wide receiver or tight end or running back. He is also only 3 touchdowns away from equaling the record for rookie touchdowns for a tight end with 12, and he's 6th in history in receiving yards for a tight end at the moment, although he's got to get another 319 to break the record in 3 games. So good luck with that. But you know, it's still on the table. Needs a 150-yard game, and we'll call it evens. He's been fantastic, boys. I'm sure we'll talk about him again in the end of season awards, because I don't think there's any getting away from him. Well, maybe Branch can give him a run. I don't know, but LaPorta's been an absolute hero.
Except for you. I remember us discussing if only you'd picked him to be the hat-trick touchdown risk guy instead of Amon-Ra. We'd be sorted for Detroit. You could buy us a load of expensive meals, but alas, instead we're stuck where we are.
Stuck on Bud Light.
Yeah, tell me about it. I picked the Lions -13.5. I had Gibbs scoring a touchdown and an Amon-Ra triple.
Wow.
And that was 100-1, and I had a $5 free bet on it. So, and LaPorta would have been longer odds. So, sucks. Anyway, never mind. He's still absolute king. I don't care.
Yeah, and so the Mike Ditka season, which you referenced, is obviously kind of very much, well, once in a generation in that case, once in history. But I think the Kyle Pitts one from a couple of years ago, he got just over 1,000 yards, 1,026. That feels potentially within reach. And given how heralded Pitts was coming out, how much they utilized him, and also it's forgotten that that's only the second ever 1,000-yard season, but he only had 1 touchdown, I believe, in that year. So the fact LaPorta has, is it 9?
9.
Is that right? Yeah, it is just madness, right? So just super impressive. And it was one of those training camp buzz stories. It's almost the trope that you get every year of the guy looks amazing in training camp and you're like, yeah, but probably not when it actually gets to the season. And just been way beyond expectations.
Just looking where I put him in my rankings for tight ends when we did the college show about a year ago. Had him 5th.
So that was about where he was mocked, though, right? That was about in the range, like kind of 4 to 6 range.
No, that was 5th in the class of tight ends.
Yeah.
I didn't do very well, but I did draft Jahmyr Gibbs. So I did get that one actually right. I didn't even know that. I did end of season mock last year. I picked Gibbs in 2nd round.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I loved Sam, but no, I wasn't that high on him in this class because how big he was underused. But yeah, that's just an Iowa issue, isn't it?
Kind of similar range to sort of Tucker Kraft then, or were you higher on Kraft?
I had him above Kraft and below Darnell Washington.
Ah, okay. That makes sense. Okay. Everyone was high on Darnell Washington.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't not be. Let's move it on. Ash is adding stuff as we're going, so this is getting on. The Lions are the first team since the 1984 Chargers to have rookies score 5 touchdowns in a game. Nice. Dan Campbell confirms the team's goal was winning the division entering the season, says the focus is on this week only to make it happen. We'll get to Dallas when it comes to it, he says. On resting for the playoffs, he says, when we're done with the season, we'll rest. So your comment, Ash, is there goes the Week 18 hooker hopes. I mean, I don't buy that. I just mean that he says we're not switching off. But it is a variant, I guess, of Dan Campbell saying we can sleep when we're dead, which I very much imagine him subscribing to as a sort of a caffeined, jacked up junkie of a caffeine man. So yeah, I don't think there's anything to throw open to there, so I'll carry on. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and Jason Cabinder's 21-day practice clock will be started this week. Interesting that Jason is on that list. Plan is also to get Hooker on the roster this week, confirmed by Dan Campbell, so he will be activated. And the Lions special teams reportedly have gone up 25. What? Say that again. What's that mean?
Season tickets.
Season tickets. Thank you. Why? I was the one who put that in. Duh. Yes, Lions season tickets apparently have gone up 25 to 50%, in some cases almost doubling. So if you are a season ticket holder, rough news for loyal fans who've supported the team through thick and thin, and mostly thin in the last 20 years. I'll come on to Gardner-Johnson and Cabinder and Hooker now to you guys. So what do you make of those? I think Cabinder's is weird, especially considering how good the tight ends have been in the fullback position. Because, I mean, Rodrigo doesn't really seem to do it anymore, but Wright and LaPorta have been doing it and look great.
I guess the question would be around special teams routes more than anything, because I can't imagine Cabinder's really going to move a whole lot for this offense, right? I can't even think they've got plays in there which are tied to him. His role's being filled elsewhere. It's not a huge value add role anyway. Obviously, he brings a lot to the team in the locker room, it feels like, but it feels like it would have to be a special teams play rather than he's not going to be getting 25 snaps on offense.
I just can't justify 53 players from anymore. And going forward, like I say, with Tom, he's been phased out. We've fizzled out with younger, more athletic people. Like I say, it's not good that Malcolm Rodriguez can kind of do the same thing. That's not a good look for Cabinder's future. So, yeah, I'd say he's a great guy, just from a pure football on the field standpoint. I didn't have him on my 53 to start the team, and now I feel even more validating that I can't have him any further. Like you say, Brock Wright, his role this year is kind of diminished, but yeah, he can fill the H back if he can. We've seen Sam LaPorta, like I say, last week, multiple times now in the I formation for Jamaica. Like I say, he's the fullback and he's straight up lead blocking. Or he's even getting like handoffs now because he's that versatile. So yeah, it just feels like he's giving him this chance now, but the clock has started ticking. And Hooker, I personally think if the Vikings, like I said, have gone on to play for week 18, they'll play Jaron Hall. If by any chance we've locked up the 2 seed, I would just play Hooker. I'd just give him half a game. Honestly, no harm could be done. And it could be a huge benefactor going into next season. He needs some game time, doesn't he? Like I say, it's got to come eventually. So, but it will depend on what happens in the next 2 weeks. And Gardner-Johnson, yeah, everyone's stoked for that. Like I say, he's just been banging the drum for weeks. I need to come back. And yeah, with how the defense play like this weekend, like I say, you throw him into that mix there. If they play to that level again, then who knows what could happen. So, yeah, we're in great standing stead for the next 3 weeks. Help has just slowly treaded in the right direction in general.
Yes, on the sort of resting for the playoffs, and the question was, will you rest any players if you lock up for the playoffs? So I think Dan said, well, when we don't, I can tell you when we're done with the season, we'll rest. They'll be getting a lot of rest. I don't think it actually will be. If we've got it looks up week 18, you'll start Hooker, you'll see some of these lower level players, because that's kind of not how we operate, and that's what Dan said. It obviously, plans might change if we have a couple of injuries between now and then. He wants to wrap up players in Cotton Bowl week 18 where everything's wrapped up. It can happen, but right now I think the plan is Goff will still pick up rolling out there. Some of all these, we won't be limiting snaps for any veteran players just because we've got nothing to pay for, because we've seen it the past couple of years. Look at Green Bay, for example, when they've wrapped up a sort of early bye, they don't have to play until the divisional round. Then they come in and just look absolutely sluggish. He doesn't want that for our players. He wants us in that kind of form where we can hit the ground running in the playoffs, because as much as we love it too, I don't think we're getting that number one seed, so we'll be playing on wild card weekend. So he wants us to have that momentum where we're not having the sluggish starts that we've had coming out of the halves even. So imagine what we might be like with if the veteran players get a week off. So I could kind of back it. But yeah, I'm agree with Kabinda though. As much as I love my special teams guys, LaPorta's been doing it. Brock Wright's been doing it until he obviously got the groin injury this week. Hell, James Mitchell, who I keep calling for to get more snaps, that's a way for him to get more involved. And they're all playing special teams. We haven't really missed him. So unfortunately, Kabinda, it might just be a thing where goodbye. We start him, he kind of gets, and then we can cut him. And then if another team needs a fall back, they can pick him up. And I hate to say I told you so on Hooker, but I've been saying it for weeks. We were the ones that proposed the free QB rule, and I can see us using that to get Hooker proper game day experience. I know he's been on the sidelines for games. I know he's been around there, but for him to actually sort of suit up, see how actually take part in like pre-game warm-ups and that, but not be active. And then obviously touch wood, it doesn't happen. But if anything happens to Goff and Teddy, you still got that chance instead of turning to Jack Fox at QB. At least you've got sort of another backup plan, which is what we need when we're coming into playoff season where it's do or die. You lose a game, you're out. It just gives you that best chance to continue winning. He probably won't be as good as Teddy or Goff if he has to come into game action, but at least you got him there for the rest of the season and next year.
What about the season tickets, boys? I have strong feelings about this, but I just want to throw it open.
I want to wait until everything comes out on it. But yeah, just before I came on, I saw a bunch of 60% up, 80% up, 100% up. And I almost want to give the benefit of the doubt that that's not the full picture. Because if it is, that's insane. Just because, if you're treating this as a true business, then fine. Okay, I get those greater levels of demand. But you don't run a sports organization like that. I mean, I used to work in the industry with kind of a little bit of NFL teams, Premier League teams, etc. And you have to make a bunch of decisions which actually don't necessarily make perfect business sense. But you can't go about just telling your fans, yeah, cool, something's going to be 100% more this year, even if there's enough demand for it. That's just not how it works. So, yeah, I want to assume that it's not as bad as that by the time the whole kind of picture is out there. But it's pretty concerning what you're seeing, even just with this small sample size on Twitter and elsewhere.
Yeah. I mean, I know the prices haven't rose for the past 4 years, but there's a difference between you doing that and instantly going, yeah, we're just going to increase it by this amount. If you're going to do it, I'd say 10, 20% max. And again, I'm bringing in sort of my experience over here with Aston Villa. We did it in the Championship, didn't increase the season tickets. First season up to increase it. The past couple of years, we've had this, and suddenly those season ticket queues have cleared out. There's been games where there haven't been the best opposition we've been playing against, and there's been 10,000 or so empty seats. So it will affect us because we've been having quite a lot of sold out games this year. That might go away next year if the ticket prices are up. And there goes that atmosphere that's been so helpful for us, especially at home, where, for example, this week, the crowd was so loud the Broncos didn't even know that the play had been whistled dead for a false start. That's the kind of atmosphere that these fans have been giving us through thick and thin. And for you just to sort of go, well, we're going to profit off you now. We know we haven't the past couple of years. So now we're just going to suddenly get all this money because there's a demand, because we're good. We can offer this premium sort of ticket prices because we're a premium team. It just sends the wrong message to the fans, in my opinion.
Fortunately, as one of the cheapest England season ticket holders in the country, in Bradford City do have for years have had one of the best, most affordable tickets in professional football in England. You pay a shit season ticket price, you get a terrible product. I do in English football anyway. My football's garbage. My club, the CEO basically runs it and he makes it self-sufficient. Not got a pot to piss in. I don't know about Rick talks, but the moment we get good and actually get out the dumps that is League Two, I know my season ticket's going to go up. And it could go exponentially, because like I say, we've to keep up demand and League One budgets. I understand it. And with Tom, like I say, I've seen loyalty members have got the news first because they get, I think, like premium information. I'm pretty sure they get more information sooner before season ticket holders. It's like a tiered effect. So I don't know how long you've been a loyalty member, but yeah, until actually it comes out, I suppose we need to know. But can I say I'm surprised? No. Is it disappointing? Yes. Unfortunately, I'd say they're backed into a corner where it's kind of like if you can buckle up and pay it. Unfortunately, that is how the world works now. But I do feel them after sitting through some years of some garbage. Like I say, now suddenly you've got a team that you can be proud of and you want to watch. You may have to pay through the nose for it or vacate your seat, and probably going to struggle to get a match day ticket because I've seen loads of the Facebook groups. They're all going to resale sites because the demand's so high. You don't save any money. So, yeah, it's in between a rock and a hard place, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a real shame. I mean, there's an easy way to solve it, which is just, if you want to double the prices, fine. For new season ticket holders. You get in the queue, you pay some bumper premium price because that's the price. But for people who've been fans and season ticket holders for 5, 10, 20 years, introduce a staggered discount on that 100% increased value. So if you've been a season ticket holder for 30 years, you get a 75% discount on that price. If you are 20 years, it's 50. If it's 10, you get 25 or whatever. But if you want to increase the price, fine. I have no problem with that, but justify it.
Yeah, we have anniversary season tickets, I think, for like 25 years plus. They get a decent discount because, like I say, they've been through thick, thin, and downright dour.
Yeah. All right.
Sorry, just the only thing to wrap that up, and I'm sure it will come out. I'm pretty sure I remember that in 23, didn't they either freeze ticket prices, maybe in 22 as well? And I think actually there was some reduced prices a couple of years ago as well. So it like hypothetically, if they've gone up 25% in a year, it's a lot of money. But if they've actually sat below inflation the last few years and there hasn't been an increase for the last 3 years, then I can see it a bit more. That being said, people who are getting 100% increases, like, I don't care if it's one person, that's still one too many. That is no bueno. So,
yeah. All right, let's get on with this game recap. Broncos 17, Lions 42. Russell Wilson, 18 of 32, 223 and a touchdown. No picks, but a fumble. Rushing the ball, Pirine was the leading rusher, 6 carries for 37 yards. Javonte Williams was 12 for 27. All in all, they were 28 carries for 83 yards and a touchdown, including a Russell Wilson sneak from 1 yard out. Receiving the ball, Jerry Jeudy had the second most yards on the team in the very first play of their game. Just want to put that out there. He had 3 receptions on 7 targets for 74 yards. Cortland Sutton, 5 of 6 for 71. No one else had above 25. Little Jordan Humphrey had 3 of 4 for 16 and a touchdown in their only receiving touchdown. For Lions on offense, Goff, 24 of 34, 278 and 5 touchdowns, no picks. Rushing the ball, only 2 people rushed the ball, which is strange. Sometimes you see the wide receiver pop up. Sometimes Amon-Ra might be there or the third running back. But just Gibbs and Montgomery this week. Gibbs was 11 carries for 100 yards flat and 1 touchdown. Montgomery, 17 for 85. So together, 185 off 28 carries for a touchdown. Amazing production. Receiving, Amon-Ra St. Brown led the team 7 of 9 for 112 and a tutty. Sam LaPorta, though, 5 of 6 for 56 and 3 touchdowns. The other touchdown did come from Jahmyr Gibbs in the air, 2 of 2 for 8 and 1 for him. The fumble on Wilson was forced by Ifeatu Melifonwu, recovered by Isaiah Buggs, who returns it like a brick shithouse. It was great. Otherwise, on defense, Denver led by Josie Jewell with 9 tackles. They had 2 sacks, 1 by Jonathan Cooper, 1 by DJ Jones, and 3 tackles for loss, another by DJ Jones, Justin Simmons, and Fabian Moreau. Lions were led by Alex Anzalone with 12 total tackles, 2 sacks for them, 1 by Melifonwu, 1 by Josh Paschal, and then 2 other tackles for loss, 1 by Paschal, 1 by Anzalone. Michael Badgley was perfect on the day, 6 of 6 on extra points. Will Lutz was also perfect, 1 of 1 on field goals, 2 of 2 on extra points. And it was an interesting day punting-wise for Jack Fox. 4 attempts, 141 yards for a total of 32 yards per punt and 1 touchback, unfortunately. Boys, high-level takes before we go through the drive summary. How are you feeling?
Pleasantly surprised. I thought we'd win, but I thought it'd be scrappy. I thought they'd make life really hard for us. frankly, I was really disappointed by Denver. I thought they'd be a much better. I know they're crap at defending the run, but they're good in the red zone. I thought they would offer us a much tougher stern test. I actually thought Russell Wilson played really well. Like I say, the numbers don't do justice. Like I say, that he made two brilliantly frustrating players that should have been sacks. Like I say, he's still got the Riz, which is the 2023 word of the year.
Oh.
In the pocket, he's got some Riz still. Like I say, he makes it happen. But no, like it's just the magic of the O-line and everything just clicked for us. And honestly, two people are just carrying the ball for me. That's great. If it ain't broke, don't try fix it. Just give it to the people it works. Like I say, the top 5 PFF grades for me were the 5 guys every week that need to show out. I'm pretty sure that was Glasgow, Goff, Amon-Ra, Sewell, and
4 or 5.
Oh, Gibbs. Yeah. Those 5 guys, if they're the highest, like I think that's the winning recipe. Honestly, like I say, that for me, yeah, the day could not have gone any better.
All we have to do as win is have the right guard, right tackle, quarterback, running back, and wide receiver of the team all playing as one, and we win.
Yeah. Basically, yeah, that is the factor. That's the mystery success. But yeah, the crowd as well. Yeah, referees, like you say as well. Like some calls went our way, kind of. Like you say, there was some interesting calls. Like we've started to turn the corner and maybe getting some good decisions our way, which seems somewhat rare. So yeah, couldn't fault anything really.
Yeah, we'll come to the Zebras. There's a few things which, if I was a Broncos fan, I would have been livid at during a small part of it. But it was just a feel-good game. Like, even if you think back to when we were winning games, maybe it was the JMO thing. Oh, he's dropping the ball, and there was still negativity. This is one of those games where it's just like, what could you be negative about? Like, genuinely, what could you be negative about? JMO had his most catches ever. All our best players played well, as you mentioned, Rye. It was just, I think it was clinical on the field. The coaches did good things. There weren't really bad moments. There weren't really many bad PFF grades, etc. It was just one of those really nice uplifting games, which I think we talked about it a little last week. We all kind of needed to some extent. Like, who knows what this does for the rest of our season? Hopefully it kicks us back into gear, but I think just for like almost our own mental, we needed this as fans to get a nice kind of positive game with things going our way and kind of build a bit more energy and excitement into this kind of late December run.
Yeah, well, Matt doesn't really need to know my opinion. He's seen me live reacting. Just that first quarter, bit shaky. Thought, but a bit worried about some of the things. But obviously, we'll come on to it. Looking back at it, there's reasons for why we were a bit slow in the first quarter. But then from then on, we just had our foot on their throats and never really let them back. Even in the third quarter, they came out, scored a touchdown. Well, I'm like, oh God, is the third quarter going to come and like strike us back? No, we just marched down the field and scored a touchdown ourselves. I think we found a bit of a recipe now for the third quarter. Instead of trying to double up and receiving the kick to open a second, send it to third and just take the kick to open up the game. It's the best thing for us.
Let's get on with the drive summary and we can talk more in detail about this. First drive was for the Lions, as he mentioned, Ash, and nice throw to Amon-Ra Bound to start. And he catches the ball, just about stays in bounds, kind of almost leans over the sideline, but doesn't quite go over, and then manages to come back in bounds and get some more yak for 21 yards. A note from me, just lots of tight end motion straight off the bat, and that continued all the way through the game. The tight ends were always moving. So twice in that opening drive, LaPorta motioned back into fullback, which I thought was noteworthy. Play action pass deep to JMO, hung up there, and there's a nice PBU by Simmons on the back end. Could have been picked the way it hung up there, but not quite. 3rd and 6, Goff just misses Montgomery in the flat. Probably would convert if on target, about 3 yards short the sticks, but if he had him in stride, he probably would have got there. Fox in plus territory with only a 21-yard punt. Spot looks really weird. Went out, apparently, at the 15, according to the first referee. Then comes back on the coverage, and we're starting at the 29, and we lose 14 yards somehow. Me and Ash thought we missed a play. It was just respotted by the referees. They were correct on the all-22. The ball did cross the plane there. It just didn't look like it on the coverage on the sideline view, but it is right. So the Broncos start off from the 29 after us having a fairly good drive all the way up to midfield, which is just a shame. And an RPO start to Jerry Jeudy for 40 yards, beating Branch. Flags picked up. It was an ineligible man downfield penalty picked up. And it looked really, really close on review when I had a look at it. So Wilson pulls it and hangs on to the ball for about half a second to a second, ball in his hands before releasing it to Jeudy. And all the O-line are up there. So it's a questionable call at best, that one, to pick that up. But never mind. We won the game. Who cares? Jet sweep by Mims then from the slot for 11 yards. So the Lions in terrible trouble already on the first drive. You take the ball, Ash. You don't score, then they go and get 7. You're in even worse trouble than if you just defer. And that's what I was fearing at this point. Wide receiver screen then blown up by Khalil Dorsey, 5 yards deep. I thought it was a tackle for a loss, but he actually didn't catch it. So anyway. And then Melifonwu with a blitz off the right-hand side of the line as the quarterback sees it. Lovely strip sack return to the Denver 37 by Isaiah Buggs. It's like a 30-yard return or something by the big man. Fantastic stuff. Lions on their second drive then, starting at the 37-yard line. J-Mo screen for 1 yard. Nothing happens on second down. 3rd and 5, sack by DJ Jones. Nice swim counter on Jonah Jackson, who just he went past him like he wasn't there. Takes the Lions out of field goal range. Punt goes for a touchback. It did land inside the 5, but it went forward, unfortunately. So they come out to the 20, even though we started at their 37. Wasn't feeling particularly great to begin with. Broncos' second drive. Nice tackle by Anzalone on Williams up in the middle. Aiden wins on the edge and almost strips Wilson again under pressure, but Wilson has to hurry, and then it almost gets picked by Kirby on that hurried throw. He's a few inches away. And then on 3rd and 9, Wilson, under so much pressure from Irvin, has to throw the ball away. They punt to R27, so gaining like 50 yards or so, 55 yards. So much better than what we've been doing in the punt game there. And a terrific tackle on special teams against Khalif Raymond, who looks like he's going to escape and just manages to grab hold of his ankles. Fantastic. Lions' third drive. Gibbs' rush up the middle was really good, especially by Glasgow and Sewell. They get a double team on with LaPorta getting to the second level and Brock coming outside that for an 8-yard gain. Gibbs then got 10 yards, but Glasgow clearly holding. It was an egregious penalty, that one. Goff, then well protected, takes time to find J-Mo over the middle for 14 yards, and that's a first down. Play action pass to Raymond for 12, but then a check down to Gibbs for -1 yard was the wrong choice. Sam LaPorta just in front of him had clear daylight. And then Goff deep to J-Mo was overthrown. We end up punting 33 yards to their 16. So another punt from plus territory, not really getting as deep as you would like, unfortunately. Never mind. Broncos in the last non-scoring drive in this session. Nice tackle early on Javonte by Hutchinson, just won his rep really nicely. And then a botched run play by Denver. Wilson runs to the right to hand it off as if it was like a stretch play, and Javonte is running straight up the gut. Wilson has to readjust, but it could have gone really badly for them. And they got a couple of yards out of it, but it just looks weird on review. Well done to Wilson for not fumbling the ball or something, because that could go so wrong. 3rd and 9, Russ under heavy pressure from Bruce Irvin. He escapes left, finds Sutton on the sideline for a 23-yard gain. Probably one of the reps Ryan was mentioning just a minute ago about annoying reps they have. Good tackle by Campbell and P. Ryan for only a 6-yard gain, and then Ifeatu Melifonwu for no gain. Branch then with an incredible PBU on Adam Trapman to force a punt for a touchback. Boys, no score at this point, coming to the end of the first quarter. Lions haven't run the ball much. When they have, it's been successful on that third drive. They came out passing, and we got over midfield twice. So it wasn't entirely unsuccessful, but I think a lot of people thought it was an odd game plan. Defense, though, spectacular. Turnover, really just seemed amped up for it. What did you guys make of it?
Yeah, well, as I mentioned earlier, I do have a fear about at least the offensive game plan. We expected Denver to come out and do what Chicago has shown teams to do against us to stop this offense. Load the box, stop the breaking routes. That's why we're throwing a lot to the outside. Weren't really running the ball because we were expecting Denver to stop that. So we were trying to do other things to get around their game plan, and they just didn't, which is why around this point where we're stopping now, Ben Johnson, Goff, and that must have woke up for, hang on, they're not really stopping the stuff we like to do. So let's start doing that. And then obviously, as we'll come into later, that's when everything starts going right for us. But it did seem weird at the time where we weren't really using Amara and LaPorta on in-breaking routes. We weren't really running the ball with Gibbs and Monty, almost as if because we accepted them to stop it. So like, why do we bother doing it if we know they're going to stop it? But at the same time, defense stepped the hell up. Like that strip sack from Iffy. I said it on the technically yesterday for us at least because it was early morning for us. But on the stream, every single time that if he makes a play, it just makes it a bit more likely that unfortunately Tracy's not here next year. And I think that strip sack might have sealed it because that was a vintage like 2018, 2019 Tracy Walker safety blitz, sacking the quarterback, getting the ball out, and then Bugs making a play, showing maybe why he shouldn't be cut in the next couple of weeks as we start bringing Hooker back, GJ back, hopefully Aline back. He's kind of now almost woke up, smelled the coffin, thought, hang on, I actually really do need to fight for my job here. I need to start making plays. And what a damn good return it was. So much so that someone basically stole my Lee McNeil fullback dive idea and said, why don't we do it with Bugs instead?
I wanted to cut him when he didn't hand the ball off because we could have scored. I thought I'd sat on the remote and I was watching it in 0.5 speed. No, that first quarter was bizarre. I saw good, I saw bad, I saw ugly. Defense, good. Russell Wilson is uncomfortable. There's guys in his face, like say he's having to adjust, he's having to make plays on the fly, which is probably actually what he does best. Like I say, he's good off script where we're not. So yeah, run the game for them, non-existent. So the defense, like you say, is doing everything it can. The bad was we were moving the ball, we were getting past halfway, and then it was, like I say, errant throws, odd good defensive play. We were stalling. And then the ugly was the fact that Dan was being fairly conservative. Like I say, he wasn't like, I'm not going to go for the 4th and 5. It was 3 times we could have pinned them inside the 10. All 3 failed. I was very unhappy with Jack Fox. I say, and the coverage in general, not happy. Like I say, if you're going to go conservative and try to pin them deep, you've got to do it. Touchback, 15 and like 16, like I wasn't happy. Some players, like I say, went our way. I'm pretty sure like that Brian Branch on Troutman, I've seen guys being penalised for this year. That was helmet to helmet, I thought. If that's one, I think that should have been a flag.
That is so
the first one that upset the Denver fans. That was close. But in general, if you told me after the first quarter, 0-0, defense is playing well, I'd have been like, I'll take it. Because I know, like say, that they've got big explosive placemakers. Apart from like the first play of the game, that's the only time they caught us cold. Like I said, we adjusted pretty quickly. So yeah, I'd say right now things were pretty even, and I was fairly content with that.
Yeah, I think that first play to Jerry Jeudy, you would like, I don't believe you if no one else was just like, here we go again. To some extent, it was just like, oh no,
Safety.
what are we doing? After that, yeah, it was really good. I think the biggest thing for me, well, more like general thing, the secondary just looked really good all day. And actually, there were quite a few times where our pass rush again, especially if we only rush 4, didn't get home. And that's where we're getting burnt because I'm seeing Russell Wilson sit there for 5 seconds in the pocket and not being able to complete a pass. That was the most impressive thing from a more kind of sustainable week-to-week thing. If you can have a quarterback sit there for 4 or 5 seconds at Russell Wilson's level and still not be able to complete a pass, we're in business. So that was, I think, the most positive long-term piece which I saw in that first quarter and then continued to some extent. The other thing was just guys making plays, right? You just called out a bunch of them, Matt. But, I mean, what do we have? I love the Khalil Dorsey jump on that screen. We obviously had the strip sack from Iffy. Like, it was just plays all over the place, whether it was the pass breakup. And I think that was what was so enjoyable to watch was, yeah, we were playing solid D for the most part in terms of good coverage on the back end, but also guys playing with their hair on fire. And that was, I think, the biggest takeaway from that first quarter, which meant even though we hadn't scored a point, I wasn't that worried it wasn't that we couldn't have lost the game. We absolutely could have, but I don't know, just that everything about the tempo and energy was right.
Moving on to the second quarter, Lions' fourth possession. Nice Poole run by Monty for 6 yards. The way he comes across the formation just hammers people. It's a beautiful thing to watch. Play action pass to Sam LaPorta for 17 on a slant in jumbo package with the fullback and skipper on the field. Then an I-form tackle for a loss, unfortunately, by McMillian on Monty. Unblocked and just got around the formation really quickly. Donovan Peoples-Jones with nice feet to get some separation short for 5 yards. He started wide on the near sideline and just a quick in route. But his feet are really fast when they want him to be. So that was a nice thing to see. 3rd and 5. Incredible chip destruction by Sam LaPorta on the defensive end. I mean, he throws himself basically over onto the floor, but gets back up, releases upfield, catches the ball about 3 yards short, and just turns upfield with one step and dives for the first down. Like, his instincts are second to none. It's really, really good to watch. Play action pass to Josh Reynolds over the middle for 21 yards. On 1st and 10, 19-yard touchdown pass to Sam LaPorta. Goff has Amon-Ra St. Brown in the backfield. Play action pass, so fakes the handoff to Amon-Ra running left. So everyone should be flowing left at this point slightly. He then comes to the right-hand side to evade pressure, throws back across himself to the left to Sam LaPorta, who makes one guy miss, and then bodies Patrick Surtain to get in the end zone. Really nice rep, odd play design. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that before. But the instincts that LaPorta has are fantastic. Yes, the rep before that, but this one too. Fantastic stuff. PAT's good. 7-0 Detroit. Broncos come out for their 4th possession. Great nickel blitz by Kendall. Yeah. Thank you. Forces a bad throw by Russ. Williams, tackle for a loss forced by Brian Branch. Well blocked, tackle by Iffy and Alex Anzalone. And then Wilson sacked by Pascal from the 5 technique. Just beats the left guard for speed inside. I mean, he's up on Russ in a matter of like a second and a half. Punt to the 31-yard line, returned for 8. Lions' 5th possession, and we score again. Goff under heavy pressure chucks it up to Reynolds. That sort of play where you can see the blitzer coming, and I think the term is, or the phrase is, the ball replaces the blitzer or something like that. Just chucks it up to Reynolds, who's got Surtain in coverage, and Reynolds just beats him. It's really nice to see. That was 20 yards. Gibbs then stretch play left for 21 yards. Great play by Decker and Jackson. Didn't see a huge amount of that on the left-hand side, but that was a really good rep. Had a fake reverse running back screen to Monty, tackle for loss by DJ Jones for 7 yards. Weird rep. Goff should see DJ Jones just standing next to David Montgomery, but just throws it anyway. Bad play. But never fear. 2nd and 17. Williams with a speed out left, catches a ball on the sideline, and then shakes and bakes one before toe tapping all the way down the sideline for 18 on 2nd and 17. In the red zone now. Nice PBU by Locke on Amon-Ra St. Brown in the end zone. 2nd down and goal from 9 yards out. An angle route out of the backfield by Gibbs. Goff on time. We use that play to perfection, that angle route, all day. PAT's good. Lines up 14-0. I'll go to the half. Broncos' 5th possession. Barnes injured, trying to take down McLaughlin on a running back check down. I mean, he's a long way behind the line, and you can get him for a massive tackle for loss, but Barnes just mistimes it and lands awkwardly on his shoulder. He's okay, though, right? We said that earlier, Ash? Yeah. Nice tackle by Iffy on McLaughlin on the next play for 1. Good recognition and filled the assignment coming down from safety. And he starts quite deep, but really good recognition. Wilson then sneaks for no gain on 3rd and 1. Nice tackle by Campbell getting there before he could leap over. But then a 4th and 1 dive over the top by Wilson as if it's the blooming touchdown line. And, I mean, he lands on his head. I don't think it was the wisest play I've ever seen from Russell Wilson. But, you know, if only there was brain cells to lose. Never mind. He won't understand that anyway. So they get 2 from that one. Gets the first down. McGlinchey then injured on that play, unfortunately for them. So, you know, that really hurts. And then Kirby with a really good tackle on Williams with Kaminsky for a 2-yard gain. Wilson with a play-action check down to Williams, who slips for 2 yards. Alex Anzalone gets his tackle for loss just by touching him down. Didn't really have to work for that one. And then on 3rd and 10, play action throwaway, pressure from Iffy on a deep safety blitz. And I mean, he's starting 10 yards off the line of scrimmage, and he's right next to Russ as he's throwing it. They end up having to punt after that to our 19-yard line. Fair catch called for 4 minutes to go, and the Lions are maybe one of the best 4-minute offenses in the NFL. I'm convinced of this. End of the half, they're just elite at this. So very relaxed, taking the play clock all the way down every single time. Goff play action pass whilst backpedaling under pressure, almost picked, but it kind of hits the defender in the toes, so probably couldn't get that one. 2nd and 10, pass short over the middle to Amon-Ra St. Brown, who gets some yak and gets 29 yards. Monty off right tackle for 19 yards. Great holds made by the O-line on that particular rep. Goff misses Amon-Ra St. Brown for a touchdown on the far sideline. It's a late developing rep and he's slightly under pressure, but I think he should make that one. But no matter, I think it's the very next play. Goff throws to Amon-Ra St. Brown on an angle route, this time to the far right-hand side. 15-yard touchdown. He flips into the end zone after he catches it with a defender right in front of him, decides to risk the aerial rather than try and take the contact. He was absolutely fine. PAT is good. 21-0, and with 30 seconds left or so, the Broncos decide to kneel it out, even though they had timeouts left. Not convinced on that one by Sean Payton. I think we would have gone there if it was us, but never mind. Boys, from no score to 21-0 in the half in the blink of an eye, and the Lions' offense just comes alive, Tom.
On that first drive, we scored. So third and whatever, and there's a completed pass to Sam LaPorta. Obviously, love Sam LaPorta, don't get me wrong. All my credit goes to Jared Goff there. If you watch, he basically releases that ball with a defender pretty much wrapped around him. And as we've seen recently, he has not handled pressure as well as maybe we would have liked. Let's go with that. That was a big time play because otherwise we're punting again. And that led to then Josh Reynolds, which go watch that play for 23 yards, whatever it's getting. It is such a tasty route. That's the play. LaPorta scores. We're cruising. All of that doesn't happen if Goff doesn't make that play on 3rd and 7 or whatever it is, or 3rd and 5. So super, super important there. And then we're just rolling from that point on. And you can see it with everyone. It's like Goff is moving around in the pocket really nicely. It's J-Mo who's getting a grab to make sure we convert a 3rd down. It's all these things that haven't been happening. Even when the offense has been humming, there's always been those questions, right? And just everything was moving nicely. Every time Gibbs touches the ball, you think he might go for 6. It was clinical, to be honest. And there was some fun stuff in there too, like the Amon-Ra touchdown at the end, but just a superb run. And for me, it really all comes back to that conversion for Goff. I think if the offense has 4 drives and doesn't get any points, everyone's going to start getting a little twitchy. And that score completely changed really the game from that point on.
Just want to shout out OnePrido427 subscribing at tier 1 for their 8th month. Says 8 months and the Lions smoke the Broncos. Let's go, boys. Appreciate you, man. Thank you very much. Ryan, the Lions just flipped the switch, but kept it on defense as well and just backed themselves up time and time again.
Yeah, one of the most enjoyable quarters of the season. Like something just clicked it was sharing a love. As Tom said, everyone got involved. Like I say, we've got the full O-line. Like I say, Jameson Williams has got his most touches in a game of the season. By half time, in one quarter, he's already basically outdone the rest of the season's workload. And he's happy. He looks confident. You see the shaking bit at the sideline. Like I say, he takes that guy out of his shoes. Like I said, Jameson Williams a few weeks ago wouldn't have done that. He'd have just taken it out of bounds and we'd have had to go for like a third and long or a 4th down. But he's got the confidence now to make a guy miss. Sneaks the 1st down. Yeah, I said Josh Reynolds, like I say, with 2 fantastic catches in that quarter. The one where he has to readjust, like the back shoulder grab and haul it in, like that was beautiful. There's not many more underrated receivers in the NFL than Josh Reynolds. He's averaging 15.9 yards a catch this season on just like 31 catches. You won't get many people more efficient in the league. Every time he touches the ball, he scores and moves the chains. And the figures have pretty much backed that up. So, yeah, he's very dependable. But, yeah, the pulling guards, the tight ends, the motion before the line of scrimmage. The holes were just wide open for Monty and Gibbs. And then we'll get into the next level. Like I said, time and time again, Jackson, Sewell, Glasgow back. They're there. Like I said, they're getting someone hooked. They're making the hole at the next level. They're taking care of a guy like Josie Jewell and Alex Singleton, because like the Broncos kept putting guys like Singleton on guys like Amon Ra and guys like that, and we were just going after it. If you're going to give us that favourable matchup, we'll take it, because I thought that was a terrible idea. Good tackle linebacker, but they're not coverage dudes, and we were just picking them off. Even guys like Patrick Satan, he hit 2 stiff arms to the face in that first quarter. They just went straight after him. They said, we will literally make you stop us. I said, we'll just go through you or go around you. And yeah. And then as soon as we scored, the defense said, we want a bit of that. We want to get on the action. Like I said, in Melifonwu, guys like Pascal, even Dorset, like I said, they were there. And coverage was like glue. Like I said, pass rush, hit and miss. Like I said, Wilson's got a lot of time, but it wasn't getting nowhere. It was throw it away or check down, because the coverage, they were talking to each other, they had their assignments, and they were just staying with them long enough that Wilson was basically forced to say, I can't risk it, so I'll just give it up. Like I said, we'll live to fight another day. And by halftime, I had an inkling the game was over. You know what Russell Wilson and Sean Payton are like, kind of like a bit of they were on a simmer, and you know eventually it will boil over, and we see that happen. They're a team that get frustrated quite easily. So at the half, delighted, like I say, that it couldn't have gone any better. And I'm actually like I say, from now on, let's take the first possession of the game and win the toss. Let's stop deferring. Let's go out there, put our offense on the field first, and let's set the tone. And let's not go, oh, well, that didn't go well at the end of the second half, but we get the ball to start the third. Let's say, no, we went into the half with all the confidence. They've now got to go into the locker room demoralised, and they've got to build themselves up at halftime. So, yeah, we had them where we want them, child from a baby, and, yeah, they've got to come out and change something. We just have to keep doing what we're doing.
I mean, the not taking the ball or taking the ball really doesn't make any difference. Everyone has the same opportunity to possess the ball the same amount of times. If you have the first possession, you go 2 for 1, but instead of having it before or after halftime, you have the first and last possession of the half. It's the same fucking thing. You've just got to manage it in the same way. So I don't get the people who are like, defer it because they get the ball to start the second. So just go in front.
I remember because I looked it up, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, because I think it was whatever was right after Thanksgiving, I looked it up. Supposedly analytics say you've got a 6% better chance of winning a game if you defer, because there is that chance of doubling up, because you're kind of right. Yeah, obviously everyone gets the same chance to possess the ball, but the way the games are, it is more likely that one team might have a chance to have the possessions either side of the half, so having that chance to double up gives you a slight chance and all that. But as we know with this team obviously we try and follow analytics where we can. Same time, analytics don't have that added game context that obviously we have for our team. So we've seen through this season, whenever we get the ball, because usually we defer, we've only scored 1 touchdown coming out the half, and that was against Packers in Thanksgiving. The other ones, it's been punts, we've had interceptions, we've had fumbles. We changed it up this week. We've got ourselves out of that slump, and it works. That's why I said it. It might be next week against the Vikings, we do defer, or we don't win the toss, we do get that first possession at the half, and we come out and score. And I look like I've got a bit of egg on my face, which I'm happy to admit. But it worked this week, and hopefully we can take it forward. And then, just this second quarter, man, you stole the words out of my mouth. I pretty much said the exact thing on the stream when that happened with that Reynolds play. Goff replaced the blitzer with the ball, because that's what you're supposed to do. That's why screens work, because you're going into the pressure and you're replacing that space that those blitz are with the ball, and you get the blockers. So have such a good play. All of the good players, even with Ife, Rai can correct me because obviously he's the college guy, he probably remembers a lot better than I do, but I think Ife ran a 4.45 in that speed. He's got speed, and you could see it on that play. As you said, he was lined up 10 yards off the line of scrimmage. Like, oh God, here we go. Kind of gone back to sort of lining the safeties off the line of scrimmage. And yeah, he was right there in Russ's face, and Russ couldn't get out of it. Obviously, lose the ball. Brooks returns it. It's just, it really came to all the stuff that we've had this season sort of came together in that second quarter. The offense was clicking. The defense was looking aggressive. Yes, sometimes they didn't get home and Russ was able to dance out of it. But everything was clicking, aside, unfortunately, for Jack Fox. But it's kind of good it wasn't, because I remember obviously the days where Jack Fox was our best offensive player, everyone was celebrating him. The fact now that we don't have to rely on him, where the offense is doing stuff, the defense is doing stuff, to him having a bad performance for the most part can just take the back seat. He can have off days, and we still play pretty damn well. Is a good thing for us, I think.
Moving on to the third quarter, and the Broncos start off with a score. Nice tackle by Commish on Javonte Williams for a 3-yard gain, whilst on his block and manages to release and make the tackle. Pascal then with a tackle for a loss of 5 on Javonte. The running back screen, not unlike the screen that Goff threw into. You had Russ throwing into that, and he's just next to him. I don't see how you don't see him at that point. Maybe you're trying to use your eyes to throw people off by not looking that way. Recipe for disaster. But from 3rd and 12, takes a deep shot to Mims down the middle, down the seam, and Alex Anzalone, clear DPI. He's following him close, but just a bit too close. The coverage is almost perfect, but got to get your head back for the ball. And you see why he's not a DB, right? That's a 44-yard gain on that play. Hutch then tackles P. Ryan for a 2-yarder. Red zone read perfectly, and he covered both men to limit the loss there, or limit the gain. It was really good. Nice throw over the middle to Cortland Sutton with blockers up front to stop the tackle. Gains 14 there. 2nd down and goal from the 3. Play action pass to corner of the end zone. PBU by Iffy is elite versus Johnson. 3rd down and goal. Touchdown pass to Humphrey versus Iffy again. Great coverage by Iffy, but just a good catch. Just big body, good throw, can't beat it. But at least, it wasn't an absolute layup like we have seen in those situations before. PAT is good and 21-7, but the Lions bounce right back. Goff play action, deep pass over the middle to Amon-Ra St. Brown for 26 versus Locke. Sam LaPorta beaten on the block, but Goff gets it out in time. 3rd down and 10, and the Lions run it. They're always going to do it in 3rd and long at least once. And this time, Gibbs runs off right tackle for 11 yards. Fantastic blocking with a guard pull versus the end. Then, just after that, Gibbs runs off right tackle again for 34 yards all the way down to the 4. Great pull and fence off by Sam LaPorta, going from inline on the right-hand side to block the defensive end on the left. I know I've said that already. Works in pass. Works in run. 3rd down and goal from the 3. Sam LaPorta, angle route again. Touchdown versus Patrick Surtain. PAT is good. Lions up 28-7. Broncos on their 8th drive. 2nd down and 2. Really nice pursuit tackle by Levi on McLaughlin. Wilson then almost sacked by Branch, but manages to dump off to Troutman for 24 yards. Hutch and Anzalone are also in Wilson's face on the play, leaving Troutman just on his own up behind them. I know that it's basically an all-out blitz, but there's no offensive players in front of them. So all they've done is hope and holes, and none of them had enough to kind of say, I'm going to back out of this. And, why should you? But maybe that's why, because that was a big gain. Amazing PBU by Iffy then. So Wilson with a deep pass down the middle for the... is Krull a tight end? I keep feeling like Krull is a tight end's name, but there we go.
Yeah.
So down the seam, down to like the 5 or 10 yard line, and Melifonwu, this guy's a beast, like massive in front of him. And Melifonwu just competes at the catch point to punch the ball out from over his shoulder. It was a really amazing play. I've not seen a safety for the Lions do something like that in a long time. A great win then by Isaiah Buggs to stop Javonte Williams for no gain. Just swum his guy. Didn't seem to make any effort to do it. It was just seamless. But 3rd and 10, Wilson short to Judy for 19 yards. Wilson to Sutton, then incomplete in the end zone. It was a really good PBU by Sutton. Wilson just kind of chucks up there into that sort of corner, and Sutton's competition was that was the best rep I've seen him have this season, I think. 2nd down and goal, pass to McLaughlin. It was tackled at the half-yard line by JRM and Alex Anzalone. Called short on the field.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll come back and talk about that. Third down and goal from the 1, heavy set, toss to Williams. One blocker out there. He's got to beat one person. Can't beat Barnes, though. Goes down for no gain. That one, I think, legitimately was short, but it was pretty close. And then 4th down and goal from the half-yard line. And Quinn Miners is offside in a touchdown drive. They get over the line, but Miners lines up with his helmet in front of the centre. And, I mean, it's an optical illusion, because on the live broadcast, actually, I was like, that's the centre's helmet. But no, it was the right guard, unfortunately for them. That puts them back to the 5.5-yard line, so they take the field goal, which is super cowardly, I think, at this point. Lions lead 28-10, and I'll stop there before going through the rest of it later. Ryan, the Lions have been beat out at this point 10-7 in the third quarter, but the Lions had one drive, scored a touchdown in the third, and they made the Broncos work for their points. You know, it took a long time for those drives to develop.
Yeah, like I say, they came out of the half. Their first few plays were bad, and then when the team's backed into a corner, and like you say, you're on like 3rd and long, you've got to go for a deep ball and force DPI. And Anzalone's doing the whole backing into him, but I'm not touching him, I'm not interfering with him. You're not going to buy it, are you? Like you say, he's in his way. It's the old Anthony. It's the Hitchens play, and it's the Cowboys. Like I said, his arms are up, but he's in his space. He's bumping him. It's DPI, like I say, but it's that or potentially give up a score. Like I say, I get, like I say, people do DPI shouldn't be a spot foul, but Alex does the only thing he can, stops the play, and I'm fine with it. Like I say, if it takes away, nullifies potential score, I can live with it. And yeah, that's the play. That's the kind of spark the Broncos needed. Like I say, they go through and then good back-to-back plays in the end zone. But yeah, great catch, Lil Jordan. Poor kid. Oh, I can't imagine being called Lil Jordan in school. Right, but yeah, no, he makes a good play, but I'm not worried. They scored, but I'm like, yeah, that's fine. So what do? We march ourselves down the field, and Gibbs puts together 2 of his best back-to-back players, like you say, the off-run right, where I think is one where, like you say, he swats the tan away like a little pesky blue bottle, and then the next one, like you say, there's a juke, there's a spin move, like you say, he's running for the pylon. He kind of just gets upended by some big fat guy, and he just kind of bounces off him. But yeah, 34 yards, and yeah, again, the old angle, like I say, just go up, break in, and go off that timing play, like I say, Amon-Ra, LaPorta. It hardly ever fails. It's just a time, like I say, I know when you'll break, or put the ball where you're supposed to be. And yeah, we've answered straight back, and just like that, the voodoo of the third quarter is gone. Someone scored on us, and we've gone straight back, punched him in the teeth. And then, yeah, the next drive, like I say, it's weird, and it felt like it changed the game. Like I said, their end zone drive, they've scored on the first time. Like I said, I'm pretty sure they scored on the second as well. And then, yeah, the offsides that I didn't see. And then you can't kick a field goal there. You just got to go for broke. You're 21-7 down, middle to late third. You do or die, live by the sword. And Sean, he's lost his head. The head's gone. Kicks a field goal. And then on the sideline, he's yelling at Russell Wilson. So is he yelling at Russell Wilson because you've snapped the ball too quickly? Like I say, because I can't throw my challenge flag, even if you throw it. You're yelling at Russell, even though the centre or the tackle could have told Quinn, move back a bit. Like there's 2 people's responsibility, and one of them could have said move back. Right, yeah, there's just vented frustration. We've been bailed out. Like I say, Lions fans know that could have been a score, and that felt like it was a big break, and that's at the point I think we've got them. If we can capitalise on this, we'll break them, because emotionally they're on the verge, they're on the tipping point, and I would be too, on the field and off the field. But yeah, we've managed the half really well, and like I said, 28-10, like I said, great score, great length to defeat, and yeah, they've started making some plays, but in the red zone we've buckled down. Colton Sutton right now is probably like the best guy in red zone in football. The guy's just been an animal in the last 7 weeks, and he was the player I was worried about, because he's like your Antonio Gates kind of. He boxes you out, makes himself available. The Cam Sutton PBU, I agree. best play Cam's made this year. Like I say, it was really good. Iffy as well. Like they just bomb it down to the end zone. And as a safety, you want to come through him, like I say, but you're always going to get called for pass interference. So he mirrors him, he lets him go to grab it and then punches the ball. Normally they collide too early and it's automatic pass interference, but plays it perfectly. One of the best players he's made is potentially a Lion, because that really they would have been sat at the goal line if that's made a reception. So that was quite big. But yeah, I'm really happy with, like I say, the offense has responded, the defense is making calls, we're keeping our heads, they're losing their heads. Just feels like it's going one way into the fourth quarter right now.
Tom?
I think that first scoring drive, if you play that back, there's obviously the Anzalone DPI. Again, that's tough to defend when that ball's slightly underthrown and receivers working back to it. It's a blatant call, but as in it's tough to defend. Otherwise, I kind of don't care they scored, because I thought the Broncos executed that drive really well, to be honest. And I think we defended really well. Like summarized almost perfectly by that score itself, which is Iffy in great position and guy makes a great catch. So I think when you go back play by play, actually, I'm pretty happy, even though we gave up 7. And then you're exactly right? Like offense goes straight down the field and punches them in the face again, and suddenly we've got the lead we had beforehand. So I thought, again, it was promising from the D, even though we did give up points. We then come straight back at them on the goal line. I don't think that should be in the team's control, to be perfectly honest. But quite often you see the refs say, we're just going to take a look at this because ultimately it's a scoring play. So I would much rather that the refs either call it a touchdown if they're not sure, so they have the right to review it, because it's just not fair on other teams. And like I say, that first one definitely looked in. The second one, like, it seemed like it was more 50-50, but you'd still want to have a look at it. Like, if that ended up deciding the game, that's bullshit. So from my standpoint, it should be either the refs are going to look at anything which they think is close. A call from upstairs, I don't necessarily mean on the field. It can be a call from upstairs which says pause. It's just, I don't think that's the way it should go. And the whole, the Peyton shouting at Russ thing, I'm there like, if only there was a way you could contact your quarterback. I don't know, like maybe through a headset or something to let him know a play call. That would work. But maybe just tell him to like chill for a few seconds if that's what you want him to do. So yeah, just a complete lack of accountability from Peyton, which you see on a pretty regular basis, whether it's on the field or off the field, to be honest.
I think the whole thing with the reviews is if you give a touchdown on the field, it's hard to overturn. I'd love to see them introduce basically a potential scoring review. Like, nowhere else in the field this happens, but if there's a potential score, they don't bias the decision either way and just look at review and make a choice. And if there's no definitive evidence it's a touchdown, it's not. So effectively the presumption is no touchdown. Yeah. But if you call it on the field, you still have to review it. So I think that works both ways, because the problem at the moment with giving it as a touchdown is it makes it 80% sure it's going to still be a touchdown on review, even if it wouldn't be if it was no bias result.
Yeah, that's fair. But I agree. I think that they've got to find a better way to do it, because the call stands, you're right. And actually, if you think about both those two, definitely the first one, the call would definitely have stood, because you had to make a little bit of an assumption with it being in his right hand from the quick looks we did have. But either way, like you've got to do something about it. And it's not even just like big picture. It's not a sport where I don't think because in other sports people are worried about things taking too long with reviews, right? I don't think this is a sport that it matters as much. If anything, you're giving more commercial load, which you can sell to people, and everyone makes loads of money. Hooray! So as far as I'm concerned, it's just got to. If that was a game which was a one-score game, like you can't lose it because of something like that, in my opinion. Obviously, it worked out nicely for us, but I just don't think it's on.
And the college game already does it. So it's not like another variant of the game doesn't already do this sort of thing. Like, whenever you watch college, it's like, oh, we're in review again, like every other play. So they just go and check stuff. And I think it's a good thing. Anyway, Ash, how did you feel in the third quarter?
I agree with you. I remember, like, the second touchdown for LaPorta was so good. And the runs as well. Like, the 3rd and 10, as soon as we got to that situation, it's like, here we go. here we go, 3rd and 10. Here comes the draw play. It's probably going to get 5 yards, and then we'll probably try to like punt the ball. It wasn't. It might have been called a draw, but Gibbs does a really good job just to bounce outside and pick up the first down, and it just gave him momentum. Because as I said, the next one, 34 yards. There's a reason he got some big plays. He made some really big plays this week, and I know people on Twitter have probably seen Ant and my campaign against a couple of the fancy footballer experts who, a couple of weeks into the season, were like, "Oh, Lions draft room when they picked Jameer Gibbs stand on the sideline." It's just this quote tweeting like, "This is why you wait, because he's making an impact now." Yeah, he didn't get that many touches, but for the most part, he was pretty much equal with Dave Montgomery in snaps. We've got it now where we've got that perfect balance. He's got 100 yards. Montgomery's still got all his touches as well. We've got that synergy in the backfield, which we're hoping for. And then, so the offense was just really good. And then the defense, Bronco, you couldn't hold him out forever. You couldn't just hold him out together. Like Lil Joe Humphrey, I know he's kind of a small name in the NFL these days, but I remember his draft cycle because it was the first one I was really paying attention. He got some really big buzz coming out of Texas. Got about 1,100 yards, about 10 touchdowns at Texas in his final year. Comes into the draft process. I was like, oh yeah, here's one of the big receivers. And then he runs a really slow 40 and he falls to being a UDFA. But you can see why he was such a good guy at Texas, sort of using the height, the body control. Because it was great coverage from him. I feel like, I know he's a safety now, but you can see those corner instincts he still has from playing corner at Syracuse. But it was just a really good catch from Humphrey. So I had no issue there at all. And then kind of the same on the next one. I know obviously their third, fourth string tight end, Lucas Kroll, despite me calling him Tim Kroll on the coverage because of Norwich goalkeepers. They're making some plays. It happens. Teams make adjustments to what they see. We just had to adjust back, and we did. Sweet score goes down to 28-10. Some people on the outside I think, oh yeah, here we go. The Lions are probably going to throw it away now. The Broncos are coming into it. They're not going to let up. And we just kept going and scoring. Like every single time they scored, we just went and matched it and continued that lead on, which is what we needed. So even though they scored and they got 10 points, I was pretty happy going into the fourth.
All right. Final stretch here, and at 28-10, and with the Broncos taking only 3, the Lions, I mean, you've got to capitalize here. You know, if they get 3 and then they go and get a touchdown and you're an 8 and a 3 away from a tie, the only way to punish the decision for a field goal is to go and score again. And they do. Play action pass with Sam LaPorta pulling right to left to block the defensive end. Again. Goff to crossing JMO with a circus catch versus tight coverage on the right-hand sideline. Fantastic catch. I think one of the best of the season for the Lions, for anyone. Goff then passed short left to Reynolds, DPI versus Moreau for 16. Gibbs off left end for 12 yards for a touchdown. Good blocking, gets his head down, drives for the line. No one stopping him. P80 is good, 35-10. I mean, just simple. There wasn't anything crazy there apart from the JMO catch. That was not simple. But, you know, at that point, I was kind of in my head, maybe the Broncos are giving up on this a little bit. Broncos on the next drive. Great pursuit by Anzalone. Tackle on Wilson for no gain when he was scrambling upfield. Also, Anzalone blitzed and timed his jump really well to batter Wilson pass down at the line. Then a nickel blitz by Branch hits Wilson as he throws to force an incompletion. Deep pass to Mims, incomplete. Great competition to force it out by Kindle Vildor. So called the catch on the field, and then the quick review from upstairs says he's out of bounds, and he did indeed touch the sideline with his second foot. Wouldn't have done without Vildor, though, so really good. Then they punt. Really cowardly decision again. And they have fair catch interference, as if they could make it even worse. Just a egregiously bad play. You can see he's got his head down, I think, when the arm goes up, but don't have your head down. It's not an excuse. You are a coverage guy and you're not hitting the receiver if he's going to catch the ball, if he's asked for a fair catch. So don't care about your shit excuses. Don't do it. Lions, though, go 3 and out. Finished off by Goff being sacked by Cooper, who beat Sewell on the speed rush. Sewell not charged with allowing a sack by PFF. But he clearly gets beaten by Cooper on that rep. So I don't know what PFF are doing. Lions 10th drive. No, Broncos 10th drive, sorry. Lions go soft zone prevent at this point. They're up 25 points, so 4 possessions. Not enough time. Saying to Ash on the coverage, I hate soft zone prevent. In this situation, I kind of buy that it makes sense. So they progress down the field in fits and bursts. There's nothing massively significant here. Dorsey injured on the far sideline, tackling Humphrey in the red zone, and then Wilson sneaks in from a yard out. PAT is good, 35-17. Lions then recover the onside kick. Rodrigo had that one, which is good on the hands team. They then slowly progress down the field, much like they did to us, we did to them. Play action pass to the back of the end zone, Sam LaPorta for 10-yard catch for a touchdown. PAT is good, 42-17. Denver run the ball, but they're not trying to score. I don't really understand why they do that just to kneel it out as opposed to stat pad. It doesn't really make any sense to me. But anyway, 42-17. That's the ball game. Fourth quarter was almost a bit of a bag of nothing, boys. Both teams kind of knew where they stood. And yeah, they scored and so did we. But both teams just kind of went soft on defense, knowing the result was inevitable.
The Gibbs's touchdown run you mentioned there, the thing which just gets me every time, like obviously he's so quick, he's so twitchy, but his contact balance is just awesome. I think that's what gives him the chance to actually be a special player rather than just a kind of track star, really good running back. It's exceptional, and you get 2 or 3 examples of it every time he plays. So it's just so cool to watch. And I think, again, what we talked about earlier in the game with the defense, kind of guys making plays, you saw that on one of those later drives where they have to punt and it basically kills the game. Whether it is the blitz from Anzalone, the blitz from Branch. I love that Vildor play you mentioned in terms of the incomplete pass, which gets called a completion on the field, then gets overturned. Like, he plays that just perfectly. So there's a whole range of just, like, again, solid, good defense, guys making plays, and it completely kills the game. As you mentioned, from then on, it kind of becomes a little bit of a procession. I know each team kind of scores a touchdown from that point onwards, but the game's dead. Yeah, I mean, not a huge amount to say. I think you get your enjoyment from the first 3 quarters, and then you almost feel like it's always a good feeling when you feel like you're going through the motions and you're like, oh yeah, we scored again. Nice. 42 points. That's pretty good. So really impressive performance, like, all round.
Yeah, I was so happy with like I say, through 3 quarters coming into 4th. Like Aaron Glenn, like I say, the blitzes. Like I say, we had a few that didn't get home because they kind of sold the house and they forced Russell Wilson to kind of like make a play or kind of like just find a way to get it out and complete. Like, I can accept those, like you say, because there are times when you want to kill a drive, so you just go, we'll make them make something happen. We'll send everyone. Like I say, and in the 4th quarter, you say Anzalone, guys like Branch, a lot of safety and nickel blitz in this game. Like I say, because we know how athletic the guys like Dorsey, Branch, and Melton are, like they can afford to time the snap and they can get in. And whether they don't get there or not, they interrupt. Like I say, they get in the passing lane, they get their hands up. So they're the kind of guys that I want to see more of going forward. Not too much, but this week we got the balance just right, which is something we'd often struggle with. It's either not enough or it's too much, and it's kind of just like easy pickings, dink and dunk. But we got it right this time. We saw that at the start of the 4th. Yeah, Gibbs, like I say, gets another score that he thoroughly deserves. They like I say, we're just letting them go. Like I say, we're letting them dink with dunk because we just want them to use clock. The more clock they use, the quicker we get out of this, less injuries, less chance of risk. So right now we've just gone into like, it's prevent mode. Yeah, so we're happy. I tweeted, like I said, I thought the Mims catch on first year, like, that was a brilliant catch. Or like, that was fair play. And then I see, like I say, that he's managed to just use the sideline as his friend, pin him there, force him down. Like, great guy. Like I said, Dorsey and Phil Dawn last 2 weeks, like I said, impressed. Come in, like I say, they've been given the chances and they've taken them. So that's really promising for guys like those. And then, yeah, like Broncos at this point, Like, they can't be asked to try stop scoring again. We're rubbing it in. We're literally just moving the ball down the field at will. Dan wants 40. He's like, my good old buddy, I'm going to put 40 on you. We're not going to go easy on you. We're going to go out there and make a statement. And they couldn't stop us. Like, everything he tried, we just worked our way down the field. And then, LaPorta with the old hat trick. Back of the end zone, just another layup. Like I say, caps off a perfect day for him. And then it's a war. It's just the clock. And who can make it look prettier seeing out the clock? Like I say, keep them in bounds, force them to use their timeouts. And it was all she wrote. And the scoreline didn't flatter us, thoroughly deserved win. And every aspect of the game much improved on the previous week before. So like I say, I was very happy with the result and the manner of the performance.
Yeah, completely agree. And to pick up on something what I just said, the use of the sideline. Again, that's something I've been calling for a while. I know our defense is designed to funnel receivers and carriers inside to where we've got the safeties and linebackers. But in those situations where it's one-on-one on the outside, we should be giving the receivers outside leverage more, because then you've got that sideline as the extra defender. You're basically playing with 12, 13 men because the sidelines count as one each. So it's good to see that finally being coached into the receivers, because there's been so many times this season where on deep routes like that, we give receivers inside leverage, and then all they have to do then is pull a double move and pull back to the outside, and they've got 5 yards of separation and an easy touchdown. Cough, cough, Keenan Allen. Cough, cough, DJ Moore. Kept happening. It's nice to see a little coaching adjustment there for something that I've been saying for a while. But it was just, I did say, we're going into soft zone. Matt, I bet you hate it. And you corrected me. It's like you explained game context. It's working, and it worked. And we still had the chance to put score, just to put the 40 on us, just to show that we've got the dominance. But for the most part, that fourth quarter was just us going through the motions, doing what we needed to do, get out there with a win, with minimized injuries, and just move on to next week. So I was pretty damn happy.
Yeah, I just hate soft zone when it's like a 15-point lead with like 13 minutes to play. It's like, gone too soon, lads. Come on. You're just inviting trouble here. But 4-score game with 8 minutes left, like, you're making it impossible for them to win, because just can't score quickly enough. So, game themes, boys. And I just want to start with coaching superiority. And I will just go through the different positions. Head coach, Sean Payton, making questionable decisions at best, not going for it, or, shouting at your quarterback. Dan Campbell, not going for it in certain situations, but perhaps wisely. Fox not delivering is not his fault in that early stretch, but then, just the way that the team handled themselves is a credit to him. On offense, I feel like Ben Johnson just had the measure of his opposite number. It felt like the offense after Q1 was just able to do whatever the hell it wanted with the ball, bar a TFL or sack here or there, but they were isolated and few and far between. Goff had all day to throw. And then on defense, it feels like it's the first time, really, that tactically as well as execution-wise, the Lions got it right on defense, and it felt like they'd read the playbook of the opposition and were like, we know what's coming. We may not be able to beat it every time, but we're going to be in position to do it. And it makes you wonder why it hasn't been that way all season. But at the same time, if you're going to learn, now's a bloody good time. So coaching superiority across the board, boys.
Yep. Ben went back to doing what we're doing like in previous good offensive performances. Motions. Like say, getting people to, like say, LaPorta's like going in and out, like fullback, or you're bringing over both tight ends. You start one line up on one side, you move across the other. They assume you're just going to run behind them. The wheel's a decoy. There was 2 plays in the game where the wheel was a total decoy, like say, and the shallow crosser underneath on our side is the one getting the ball, and it just bought so much space. Like. You're just keeping them guessing. Like I say, their defense was just never on its toes, and it just never looked comfortable. So and defensively, like we had guys basically tighter coverage. They were not giving big cushions like we've been prone to watching guys like it's 3rd and 12. 8-yard cushion. The corner's just giving that big old nice cushion for them to work with. They were closer to the line of scrimmage. Like I said, they were closer to the player, and they were just flat out making them beat them. And if they couldn't, just like one-on-one reps. And yeah, more disguises. Like I say, you bring your safety up, you drop them back, blitz them. Like I say, you think they're too far away to blitz? Wrong. If he's just like his brother, Obimel Fongu, around like a 4-3. Like I say, he's deceivingly fast. Like I said, from 10 yards off line of scrimmage, and get to the backfield. Like I said, Brian Branch can see you. Like I said, better disguising and like I said, better timing of showing when to bring the pressure and when to try and collapse the pockets. Yeah, I was very happy with everyone.
I think also for a team that hasn't been able to cover for a number of weeks now, like I know fans have been shouting a lot about sending more blitzes, but it's not as easy as that, right? Because then you have to have you guys on the back end do an awesome job with less numbers to try and cover. So the fact that we were able to blitz with success and get home, but also not give up lots of kind of chunk plays, again, just super impressive. So yeah, I think AG got a lot of love for this game as he deserved. I think Ben Johnson probably didn't get as much because people don't feel like he needs it, but it was definitely a bounce back game for him as well. Just really impressive across the board. And I really liked how you did see on the sideline, if the defense made a play, people were like pumped for AG, and you didn't quite see it the same with Ben Johnson, but you see it with Campbell as well. Like there might be a lot of kind of infighting in Lions Twitter, but it feels like that locker room is still solid as ever.
Yeah, completely. And I preface this with it's a joke, but it seems like Ben Johnson saw that there's finally an opening in LA. He might finally get his chance there. It's like, now's time for me to put my audition tape out there. Let's show him what I can do with Justin Herbert and Austin Eckler. Of course, I'm joking. I hope he doesn't, for the love of God. But yeah, this week, we've been in, as I've been putting on TikTok with the clips of me of the Bears game at the end, where it's just me just head in hands, looking depressed. We were in a slump. Things weren't going right. We were getting stuck in a rut. We were trying too many things. It just wasn't working. And I put it rightly, we went back to what worked for us early in the season, using motions, using wheels, disguising that, all these things, and it just works. And the defense, because they weren't being put in bad places, and because of some of the personnel changes, as we'll probably get to in a bit, with certain players coming in the past couple of weeks and it's absolutely balled out. Those sort of changes where instead of sticking by, like, as much as we love Jerry, for example, his confidence wasn't that big. He was constantly getting beat. So he needed to be sat down and sort of take the pressure off him for a bit, let other players sort of take the brunt, let him get his head right, and then hopefully he can come back. If he gets right from his hamstring injury, obviously got on special teams. It just all came together in the right way from both the coaches and the players.
Next thing I want to come on to is complementary defense, and Tom spoke about that already quite a bit, but one specific element of it comes from the secondary, and on the All-22, when you have a nice view from the end zone of what's going on, the amount of animated communication on the back end was striking. Like, every single play, 3 or 4 people, hands in the air, pointing, shouting to each other, moving about, realigning. It was stark how animated they were with keying in on little bits and pieces they were seeing. And, you know, you're at home, but it's loud, therefore, when you're on defense. Communication is difficult. Maybe that's why they were very animated, I don't know. But at the same time, they put themselves in good spots, and that helped with covering on the back end, which helped the pass rush get home. Because as Ryan mentioned, it took a little while sometimes. Got a few sacks in there. Pascal had a good game. Other players had a good game. Iffy had a good game, but obviously he's not part of that pass rush by design normally. You know, I think it was an element of the coverage really helped out the pass rush yesterday.
And with Iffy in particular, I was really impressed. Like Tracy has probably been disappointing this year, but also a couple of years ago, you saw that leader come through, and I just don't feel like we've really seen that this year to the same extent, which is a shame. There was one player I remember taking a note down, and Khalil Dorsey was taking more snaps on Saturday than he was probably expecting realistically with the injury to Jerry by the sounds of things, but also like it felt like Vildor was going to be the first guy if it wasn't Jerry. And you saw at one stage, like Iffy, as you mentioned, really animated communicating with him. Dorsey's clearly a bit unsure on what's going on. And if he just takes control of the situation, as you mentioned, in a situation where you can't hear shit, I mean, the crowd was loud and that was on TV, let alone what it's like on the field. So I think that's one of the most positive things as a guy who hasn't necessarily got a lot of snaps, hasn't been on the field a lot, really looking like he's taking charge. And we don't maybe see that so much from Kirby as much. So to get that kind of leadership off one of these guys, I think was really cool to see.
Yeah, so on Dorsey quickly, he was announced as the starter. Jerry was completely benched. He was just playing special teams this week. So it was a split of Dorsey and Vildor, that's like CB2 spot. And he said he needed that communication because for the most part, he was on the roster to start the season as a special teams guy because his speed, he was our kick returner too, special teamer, and he played really damn well. Like I said it to open up the game. I think he was brought in because obviously Mims is their second receiver on the outside and he's a speedy guy. Jerry's not the quickest, and Vildor, I don't know too much about, remember too much of his speed, but he's not the quickest. Dorsey obviously is. And he played it pretty damn well for someone who, to say, is a special teamer for most of the season. He came in to a starting role and played pretty damn well. So, and Iffy as well, taking up that leadership. He's been in this scheme 2-3 years. He's been there as a corner, been there as a safety. So him having that sort of mindset of knowing both roles really well probably did help Dorsey settle in, Vildor settle in, and then obviously helped Kirby next to him, who, as much as I love the guy, he's only been here a season and a half, and for the most part, he's still working out safety play because this is his third true season as a safety because he only played it in his last season at Illinois and then his first season with us. So if having that veteran presence of Sutton and then Iffy probably really helped him.
All right. Next thing I want to get to, and it might stray into Cigars, so maybe we'll try and hold off on that. But just generally speaking, it felt like this was the best game of some of these players' careers, maybe in Detroit, but maybe ever. Definitely Iffy. Maybe LaPorta, not with the number of yards, but just always seeming to make the most of what he's doing. But all of the blocking work he was doing, the pulling and executing seemed really great. Maybe Gibbs' best game. Definitely Jamo's best game. Pascal's best game? Maybe? There were just so many guys that seem to just turn it on in difference to recent weeks where it's been like all of our best players have played badly today. This was like, in some cases, peripheral guys or hopeful guys that, haven't been much so far really coming to the fore all at once. There's not really a question there, sorry.
Exactly. It's fine. It's personally, obviously, as you said, it's straight into Cigars and subpars because, as we all know, probably quite a few of them are probably going to be coming up in a few minutes. Again, and probably I've got to dig down special teams again because everyone said the obvious ones. But yeah, hell, even Kindle Vildor, someone who obviously signed as a vet guy, he's been there, done that, played a couple of seasons of the Bears. He had a pretty damn good game. I know, obviously, we said, for example, in coverage, me and Matt did over under, was it 84.9 we're saying for if his PFF grade obviously didn't come out that high.
He allowed a touchdown. I think that's what it is. It's even though the coverage was good, he allowed a touchdown. So
exactly, yeah. But everyone balling out. Hell, dare I say it? And it's someone that's underneath Dan Skipper as well. That dude got open on some of those sort of misdirection plays. One was coming over crossing routes. I'm here for week 18, Hendon Hooker hitting him in stride for a touchdown. Let's continue that streak of one player sees an offensive line makes a really good play. I'm hoping it's Dan Skipper this year, especially after me, Matt, and Steve kind of roasted him after the Thanksgiving game about him being in motion. It'd be nice to him sort of get a nice play as a sort of 6'10" offensive lineman coming across the formation.
I still think they're setting up Sewell. You actually saw it again. They had that formation out again today, on Saturday. And I'm like, are they putting the skip stuff on tape to draw defensive coordinators' attention to, look, they're going to have an offensive lineman go and do something. It's always this sixth man. I don't know. I just feel like they're setting something up with Sewell and these slightly rogue alignments, but let's see. Yeah, so you mentioned Jamo specifically. I think that game could have been bigger for him than pretty much anyone else on the roster. And you look at the box score and be like, why. Like, what was it? 4 catches for 40 something, whatever. Like, not a huge stat
47,
there,
47, yeah.
but it was what he did. And actually, there were a few targets he had where the throws were low and he couldn't have got it. But he's always, to me, felt like a confidence player. And even if you go back and we've talked, like, not to labor the point, we talked about it before, how he had 3 years at Ohio State. It didn't quite click. He got to Bama. He got the confidence and he was the best receiver in the country. And that catch he made, the 4th catch he made, where contorting his body, making that catch under contact, looking like his ACL might be gone again, which I think had hearts in mouths for a minute. It was awesome. And I think he is that kind of guy that Goff needs to see him make those catches to give him the confidence to send him the ball, which I feel like happened a couple of weeks ago when he started getting that flow. And he just keeps stacking good game after good game. I was looking up the last kind of 6 or 7 games he's had, and PFF grades are heavily flawed, as we always talk about. I think last week he had a really low grade of 50 or something like that. Other than that, his lowest grade is 66, with an average grade being 60, right? So I know he hasn't set the world on fire, but he keeps stacking games. And I think he could go nuclear at some stage in the next 3-4 weeks. And I'm excited. I'm hoping that he shows up in the playoffs as well. I really think there could be something there, and this could be the start of something positive.
All right. Finally, before Cigars, just the Goff rebounds potentially is complete. So last week, kind of went into his shell a bit, didn't give the ball away, didn't look remarkable, kind of building the confidence. And then a couple of days ago, I mean, he put the ball in harm's way once, I think, in a kind of backpedaling throw that hit a defensive player in the toes, and I don't think it's going to get picked off in any circumstance, but it was somewhat risky. Apart from that, no turnover-worthy plays, I don't think. Maybe no big-time throws either, but just hitting guys in stride, operating the offense perfectly, efficient. I mean, what he was earlier on in the season.
Yeah, I said as much, didn't I? After I think it was the Gibbs touchdown to make it 14. I was like, there we go. Because he was fired up, the confidence was back, and it showed because roughly working out, wasn't it like sort of we scored on 4 or 5 straight drives, and it was pretty much all him. Just having Ragnar back, and then like the game plan going well, just got him that confidence, and then he grew back into it. Yeah, and you were right, no turnover where he plays, no big time throws, but he did what we needed him to do. To quote Cam Newton, he managed the game pretty damn well. And it came out with a W. So as much as Cam Newton says he's a game manager, it's nothing special, he won the games. Unlike you, Cam, when you were in your last couple of seasons in the league.
Yep, nothing flashy. But he found the ball, he put it out of harm's way, he put it between the numbers, he put it in catchable places. More importantly, when it wasn't there, he threw it away. There were 2 or 3 throwaways when he thought, I won't take any risks here. I won't stick in the pocket. If it's not there, don't get up for grounding, I'll just get it away. We'll live to fight another day. The turnovers, like I say, have weighed heavily on him in probably throughout most of November. There were lots of them that he'd want back, and ones where he'll blame himself. Like I say, he did everything to protect the ball. Like I said, Denver, right now, we're taking the ball away more than anyone. Like I said, they had a top 5 turnover margin. We didn't. That they knew their key to winning was taking the ball away and just Goff losing confidence. So he didn't let it happen.
Tom, you kind of mentioned it earlier, but Goff under pressure was much improved, and that was maybe the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, again, we know this can go in waves, but I think it was important for him to get back on track. And I think with that full strength offensive line, I don't believe there's any team that's going to get consistent pressure, kind of snap in, snap out, right? So if we can settle into this rhythm, we got the Vikings 2 of the next 3 weeks, who, according to PFF, have the lowest graded pass rush in the league. Now, obviously, we've got...
Really?
I'm looking now, because Daniel Hunter should make that
That shocks me because their defense is one of the best in the league right now. That doesn't make any sense.
I looked at it just now because I was like, this is probably going to be quite
oh my
tough
God.
run.
By 1 point.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
So either way, like they've got some guys who can get pressure, and we've seen it before, right? So I'm not going to write them off completely. But if we can stay healthy on that line and we can kind of do our very best to limit Micah Parsons, like I like where Goff is heading if he can get this kind of confidence going into the playoffs. Now, if we have some issues with health on that line, if Micah Parsons does the stuff he normally does, I could still see Goff going back to seeing ghosts a little bit. Like it's more important than pretty much anything else for this team right now to have him playing with confidence. So the next three weeks, actually, the outcome of the games are obviously important, but it's almost what happens in them is just as important for me, knowing that we are very, very, very likely going to be in the playoffs.
I've got the formula to stop Mike Parsons, and basically it is make sure that your own defensive lineman just chucks a player straight into your knee. That's going to stop him. Well, actually, he came back into the game like one play later, but it looked like he could have done his ACL on that one. It was not a smart play by whoever the idiot of a defensive player for Dallas was yesterday. But anyway, let's move on to Cigars. I would be surprised if there's any subpars, but feel free to let it rip. Ryan, let's come to you first.
Josh Reynolds. Had a few quiet weeks, but the offense has in general. But 2 targets, both well covered, big first down conversions. When we needed them the most to keep drives going. He's not a heavier workload guy. He's not a big numbers guy. Just dependable in the right place when he needs to be. Also drew defensive pass interference because he's just someone that I genuinely don't think we're in a position we are with him right now. I feel like he's just made that many important catches that he's probably good for at least 1.5 of our wins. Like almost like I say, he is just a really important guy. And unless we do something in the draft, I can't see how you let him go. The numbers will come down to it, but I'd be very surprised if he's not here next year, if I'm honest. Like I say, he really is like one of the just dependable people that you can just trust to be in the right place at the right time. When the ball comes his way, he just snags it as well. Like I say, he's just got fantastic hands.
Tom?
I'm going to go Penei Sewell. And he's been incredible all season, and we know that. I think he's probably, we forget about him a little bit because of the position he plays and because of how good we know he is. But actually, as the team has started to struggle more, he's got even better. And the last 4 weeks, 3 out of the last 4 weeks especially, but he's on a almost historic run of run blocking grades from a PFF standpoint. I mean, he was incredible on Saturday, and it was his 3rd best run blocking grade of the last 4 weeks with 88.9. 92.2 last week, 3 weeks ago, 96.6. Like, it's just insane what he's doing. So even though the team has seen more struggles over the last 6 to 8 weeks, he's actually been getting better than ever. Plus, I'm a huge fan of Penei when the hair gets longer. Like the fact he grows it out all the season. So yeah, I'm a fan. But yeah, I think he's so easy to overlook because of how incredible he is week to week, snap to snap. And so we probably quite often go past him because there's other guys we want to shout out. But yeah, just such a good runner for him.
Penei Sewell is the number 1 ranked tackle on PFF. He has a 91.3 grade. The next highest is Trent Williams. His grade is 85.8. Penei Sewell is 5.5 grading points above him. Only 8 players have an 80 grade or better. His run blocking grade is 93.4. That's 6.5 better than the next nearest person. Pass blocking grade is slightly down. He's only 10th in the NFL in that metric. So, he's given up a sack or 2 now.
He's a bust.
He's a bust.
Number best tackle in that draft, right? So
yeah, I mean, Darasaur is number 4. So
Darasaur's been a absolute fair play. I thought he was gonna. Well, I didn't hate him coming out, but he's done some really impressive things. So
I mean, Rashawn Slater's number 18 now, so I think we can fairly call him bust. Anyway, who else have we got, Ash? Don't think anyone's taken your guy, so...
Yeah, exactly. I can say him for once. It is moving to the defense, though, but Josh Pascal, man. Like, he had a bit of a down week last week, but the Josh Pascal ascension is continuing, and I'm here for it. Like, getting more snaps on the inside with Aleem obviously being out, but even when he's playing on the outside, he's making plays now. He's finally, seemingly, touch wood, it continues, over the injuries last year, obviously with the sports hernia in the ankle. Now he's getting consistent reps. He played 43 snaps this week, which is 9th on the team. And it's showing. He's been trusted by the team now, and he's making plays to back that up. And I'm here for it. If he probably will never turn to be the 10 sack guy the team thinks he can be, but he can probably be consistent, like 5 sack, 35 pressure guy who, but his main draw is obviously playing inside and stopping the run when he's on the outside. And he's doing that now. So hopefully it continues for him, because I know obviously everyone wants to get another pass rusher to go opposite Aiden, but if you have Pascal to be your sort of base down guy, and then someone you can sub package in on passing downs on the inside, while it might not be the best return for a second round pick, that's still something pretty damn good, and you can be productive at that.
All right, I'm going to take the low-hanging fruit, because I've got to take the low-hanging fruit. I'm going with Farsi Melifonwu. Like, I don't give a shit what your PFF grade was. It was 65.5. You had 3 pressures from the safety position. All of them were impactful. One of them was a sack. 7 total tackles. 5 of them were ranked as stops. Gave up 3 of 6 in coverage, and PFF may have only credited you with 1 PPU, but you definitely had 2. I watched it back again. Definitely had 2. Leader on the defense, and just a transition from this off-season, I'm pretty sure a couple of us didn't have him on the 53. Like, he's a bust. It's done. The experiment's failed. He can't stay healthy. I'm pretty sure that, I hope I'm quoting Rye accurately here, basically said he comes down to tackle strongly and he's got all the will in the world, but then he folds like a lawn chair and he's broken, or something to that effect. And he's blown that up. Like, he's a bloody physical tackler. He's actually holding up now in that regard, in terms of not getting injured, thankfully. But he just looks damn competent compared to what we have back there right now. And it's a great credit to him, having not been on the field for the majority of his career. He is actually smart enough to get this stuff done by doing the mental reps. And he's had a great season altogether. Like, he... let me bring up the stat quickly. So, he is our... I had it and then I've lost it. I'll have a look at it now. So, Detroit defense. Melifonwu is our 5th ranked player on defense, but that includes Kindle Vildor with 35 snaps above him. So realistically, he's a 4th ranked guy on defense with a 74.5 grade all year. That's exceptional. He's got the highest pressure grade on the team. He's got a positive coverage grade. He's got positive grades across the board. Run defense, tackling, coverage. And he's been like that on peripheral snaps, but he's come to start reps the last 2 games. And he's been the best DB on the field. Well done. Have a cigar. Anyone else want to have a shout out for anyone else?
Very quickly, Amon-Ra bounced back. Again, only against his very, 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 very high standards. But a quiet couple of weeks, so to see him tear up and do his usual stuff deserves a shout.
No more?
Kirby's had a rough few weeks.
Yeah.
So he had a good week this week.
Well, Sutton didn't really notice him, and that's the best thing you can say about a corner, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll leave it there. I think we've said enough good stuff about the guys. We will, I think, discuss the rest of this stuff off the audio podcast. So if you want to join us for some extra time, you know where to find us. Go to YouTube or Twitch for the replay if you're not listening to this live already. We're going to talk a brief discussion on the rest of Saturday and Sunday's games. We've got a couple of questions about the Minnesota game and other bits and pieces. Our next show is going to be on Thursday on the main show, which is going to be the Minnesota Vikings preview show. There will not be a live reactions show with me and Ash this week. Game's on at 6 p.m. on Christmas Eve. Go and enjoy your family. Why would you watch us? Just go and have a drink and have some fun with your family. Review show will happen, even if I have to do it by myself. It'll probably be Boxing Day or something like that. But I'm going to find half an hour somewhere to react to the game one way or the other. If we can get some other guys free at the same time, we'll do that too. But let's see what happens. No promises there, because we need time off too. College podcast, as Ryan was talking about, second half of the bowl games predictions and getting fully into draft mode now. So don't forget to check that out on Wednesday. Otherwise, on our socials, Royal Lions UK on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and the group for worldwide fans is Detroit Lions Fans UK, one pride worldwide. Ash's preview articles on ROTLUK.com. Go and check them out. Don't forget to subscribe and rate us 5 stars on your podcast provider and all that good stuff. You know what to do. You know how much it means to us. So please help us out with that. For Ryan and Ash and Tom, I'm Matt, and we'll see you next time. Let's go Lions. 1 pride, 10 wins, first time in 10 years. Let's go Lions, 1 pride.
1 pride.
Recording stopped.
Right. Saturday, Sunday's games. No, should we talk Minnesota first? No, let's go Saturday, Sunday's games. Because it was pretty fun, shall we say? The majority of the games in at least the late window looked better yesterday, and it was a pile of shit. Apart from watching Dallas get bummed, which was just awesome. Any particular games stand out for you guys?
Bengals game for me. We all know they're like my AFC team, but just Jake Browning winning the game and then turning to him on the sideline and say, "This is why you don't fucking cut me." Just cold from him. And obviously showed a bit of weakness with Mullins, which hopefully we can exploit this week, because Kevin O'Connell has confirmed in his press conference today that we'll be facing Nick Mullins on Sunday, which is good news because Job Stobbs could have actually done some stuff against us with his legs.
It was fun to watch Tampa beat Green Bay. My word,
True.
That was satisfying. Just all at sea, that Green Bay defense. Why couldn't we do that to them?
What's happened? So I actually didn't watch any football on Sunday. What's happened to Green Bay? They looked like they were trending to actually be really threatening, and then
Joe Barry became Joe Barry again, which is why I'm so happy that LaFleur has said that they will be keeping Joe Barry this offseason. He will not be gone. We can go back to have throwing against Green Bay corners who are standing 10 yards off the line of scrimmage in the Fangio scheme again. Yes.
I mean,
Joe Barry.
It was just egregious, really, what they were doing. But like, I think a part of it is they started believing, and then they shit the bed. Like, when there was no hope, there was no risk, and so they were just going for it. And now suddenly they were tightening up because they had some belief.
You mean, I'm not a prophet, but we're going to be winning out, says a certain player with a wrestling belt over their shoulder.
Heirs of Aaron Rodgers that no shit to back it up.
Exactly.
Any more? Carolina was strangely satisfying. 9-7 win against Atlanta.
It was awful. I watched it all. Honestly, it was terrible. It was
You're
like
a fan
Iowa
of those
without-
shit games, aren't you? You watched the
like
Vikings game
Iowa,
last
but
week.
without the crowd. It was like watching COVID football. Like there was no crowd there, just no one went.
Yeah, it was sad.
And it could be the only game they win for the rest of the season, and no one went to watch it. Which is just, I feel sorry for Bryce Young. Honestly, the kid's in such a shit position. Like, he can't win. He can't do wrong for right. And like I said, the crowd now just literally can stop turning up. Like, there's just no one for him. Like, yeah, it's a real shame.
Cheers, Tom. We'll see you soon, mate.
In a bit.
See you guys.
Falcons, yeah.
See you in a
On the
bit.
flip side, the Falcons are a mess. I don't know what they're going to do. Like, pretty much everyone's out on Ridder. Like, Bijan Robinson, like, they don't have a clue how to use him. Like, they don't know what they're doing, essentially. I say that they're making him look subpar.
It doesn't make any sense. Listen to the Athletic Football Show today, and they were saying that last year, in EPA per play on rushing plays last year, they were second in the NFL. They were fourth in the NFL in rush success rate last year. And apparently yesterday was one of the bottom 4 rushing performances in the league this season in a game. It's like, what do you do? You took this elite running back. You already had a good rushing attack. What are you doing differently? How have you fucked this up? In a division which is just so open for the taking.
I mean, Bijan shat the bed yesterday. I would know I started him in fantasy.
One more, yeah. Oof.
Fuck it, yeah. That fucked it. But at the same time, how the Falcons are going to fix themselves? We've already seen it on Twitter. 3 words. Hey, Kirk Cousins. They're going to go for Cousins to be the new Matt Ryan for them. And I could see it happening. Because I think Vikings are probably out of this. Well, they probably can't afford him at this point. Falcons will have some cap room. They'll try and go for it, have a good run game to go with him, and
try
and win the division at like 9 and 8.
Not even that. If Cousins plays well, that Falcons team could be great. Yep. There's nothing about that Falcons team that is bad to me. The O-line is good. The rushing game is set up to be good. The coach just has to go.
Will be his best friend because
Drake London's basically a tight end on the field as well.
Yeah. All they need is a complementary wide receiver because, as you say, they're all big guys. They need someone like a Jefferson or kind of like a Diggs, someone that's a bit shiftier, that isn't like so much like get up and get it. But that's what the draft's for. Like, Brian will know the name, and I should know him because he's playing right now, but the Western Kentucky receiver. Something Corley, is it? The Yak King?
Oh,
just someone like that.
Yeah,
just someone like that for them. Speedy guy. Go for
They've got the best safety in football. Like, they gave Jesse Bates stupid money, and he's already paid it back.
Yeah, the Falcons' defense is feisty.
It's a good defense. Caden Ellis is a great linebacker. Like, he just does it all, like you say. Even Okuda's been okay.
Any satisfaction with Buffalo destroying Dallas?
Yeah,
no, I don't like either of them.
Kinda. He's first in PFF grade, third in EPA now, so you might get your Josh Allen MVP.
I think everyone who's the sort of in the voter category is thinking that Josh Allen is having a great year. So I think he's already in that conversation. It's just the public that don't like that. But the rest of the team's just been shocking. The thing about Buffalo yesterday was the defense was elite. Like, out of nowhere, from being awful, they were incredible against Dallas. So hopefully
James Cook had his breakout.
Oh, James Cook's terrific too. But hopefully Dallas has shown us the way in that game to beat them. They've put it on tape. This is how we play badly. So just go and do that. So, yeah. What else have we got? A couple of questions. Mike Marine says... Sorry?
I was going to say the Rams. Matt Stafford looks fucking good. It scares me a tiny, tiny bit because we know what he can do when he's in a rhythm.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, I never thought that Matt went out of that tier for me. Just has always been that good. Injuries have hurt him, maybe a long road back, but yeah, the Rams with Nakua and with Cup healthy are just a different animal, and they've got enough pieces. They showed in their Super Bowl run they've got enough pieces to kind of do things. They're just missing an elite cornerback one, but Arcala Witherspoon or whatever his name is just amazing. Love him. So yeah. Right, Mike the Marine's questions. What is your opinion on next week at Minnesota? How are you feeling on the game away against good defense despite the pressure grade? Hopeful?
I don't want to spoil too much for the preview, but I've just looked it up as well. Yeah, they're looking at that pass rush. It's basically Danielle Hunter and no one else. Like, you look at everyone who's got at least like 200 pass rush snaps. It's Hunter with like a 78.8. Everyone else is below 60. So that's the game plan. You sort of double team Hunter and you're fine. Kind of like how everyone double teams Hutch and they're kind of fine against us. Just use that game plan against them. But I won't say too much because obviously I'm going to do the stat deep dive and everything for that. And then hopefully have your game preview with my completely accurate and completely not bullshit hot takes and score prediction by Friday night.
There's a few players they've got that can cause a few headaches, but we're the better team. way more well-rounded. From what I've seen, they still can't run the ball. Every week that goes by, I kind of think I was wrong about Alexander Mattison just stepping in and leading their running game, because it's not worked, does it? Like you say, he's not looked great.
Well, Ty Chandler's looked a hell of a lot better in much more limited reps.
Taken that role away from, and he's been usurped. So that's interesting for them. But they've got some guys I really like Josh Metellus, plays some of the best football in the league. Like I say, he just does everything. And honestly, like I say, I think he's got that. He's well worth that extension. He's got, like I say, I think he's good. Cam Bynum also having a great year. So they're safeties. Like I said, they're two guys to watch out for. But everything in the middle, like their linebackers and that, they don't worry me. I think we'll hurt them across the middle.
I think that Lions fans need to not overvalue where we are for the division. We've almost clinched the playoffs. We are going to clinch the playoffs with where we are and not having won another game. Like, it's almost certain at this point. But the division is very much in question. Now, if you have a look
we
at
lose it's the cats will be in the pigeons.
So, if you have a look at teamrankings.com, which is what I post in our Discord channel after every game just to show the rankings, they have us at 48% for the Vikings game versus 52% for them. It's home for them. They're a plucky team, good defense. It's not the best matchup for the Lions. If we lose against the Vikings away, they then play the Packers, who might be eliminated by then and are looking to tank. Vikings win that game. We have to beat Cowboys to end the division race. But we're 28% to win that game at the moment versus 72% to lose. Which, I mean, you have a look at the Bills game and you say maybe that's unfair, but if you have a look at body of work throughout the season, Dallas have been terrific. So I kind of buy that. Suddenly, you're going into the game at Ford Field in Week 18 with a division on the line, and I don't want that. So this week coming up is so important just to kill any narrative of the rest of the season being important in that way. Because the difference between us being... I mean, we'll be the 5th seed if we don't get there, which means we'll play the NFC South away. I want a home game at Ford Field, damn it. I kind of don't mind about the division, in a way. I want the home game at Ford Field in the playoffs for the fans, and that comes by way of a division title. But can't overstate how important this game is.
Yeah, we might get an easier route to the divisional by not winning the division, but my sole aim of this season was win the division. Like I said, we should cream any NFC South winner. And that's great. Like I say, we win the playoff game and we get the nice route to division. But I don't want to be on the road. I don't not want an NFC North title. Like I say, to me, it feels cheap.
Well, and
it feels like we've taken the easy way out. Yeah, I don't want that. This weekend for me is everything. I want to go into Minnesota. I don't want to beat them. I want to fucking kick their ass. I want to embarrass them.
Yeah.
I want to do it properly. And like I say, I want them in Week 18, the Vikings, nothing to play for, licking their wounds, just wanting the season to end. That's what I want Minnesota. Or even better, we end their wild card hopes, and we've already got the division out of our back pocket. Double whammy. Thanks for coming. Now piss off. That's how I don't care about Dallas.
No.
It just does not bother me, that game.
So for me, I really want to lock up the 2 seed because of what home field advantage can do. I don't actually, but I would love to get the 1 seed, but I think that the value of it is slightly overrated because of what Ash was saying about not having any reps in Week 18 if you've already secured it. Same goes for having the bye. And so if you've got the 2 seed, you've got home field advantage if the 1 seed loses out for the remainder of the playoffs. So 2 versus 7, okay, hopefully we beat subpar, I don't know, Rams or Seattle if they make it. Green Bay probably going to be out of it. Vikings maybe. But if we run the table to get to the 2 seed, our next game may be against Dallas in that situation at the 5 seed, or Philadelphia, whoever don't get the division title there. Okay, 2 versus 5, and then, or how does this work? 2 versus 5, 1 versus 3. No, 2 versus 3. So we'd be against San Francisco. Not San Francisco.
Yeah.
Who's 3?
So if we're
In
the
this
2,
situation.
we would get the... so if we 2 and we win, we'd get the highest remaining seed.
So it would be
if it's
Philly
2
or Cowboys either way, but the other one would face San Francisco. Okay, but they're now, the other team are facing a San Francisco 1 seed who are cold.
Yeah.
Well, what happens if the boys are number 5, beat number 1 San Francisco, we beat Philadelphia, and we have home field advantage all the way through to the NFC title game? Like, that's a viable route to the whole thing, and it's not crazy, but we need to run the table here. And beating the Cowboys once in week 17 is like mind games for the playoffs, because we're probably going to face them if we actually live up to expectations, facing them as a realistic prospect. So, winning out for me is just so. I know it's I want to win every game is a really big take, but like, I don't want to just be like win the next game and then be like, we've won a division title now, let's wait for the playoffs to get started. Like, we need to win out at all costs. Put it all on the line. Because Ford Field's a different animal. They're so loud in there. Mike the Marine says, since you know the Lions offense lives or dies with the O-line, what investment would he dedicate or prioritise in the off-season and draft? It's a big question for the draft. Right, you're obviously Sorry, I know Rise talks a lot, but obviously as the college guy. Well, I mean, not to preface what you guys might talk about in the next few weeks, but where's your priority line at the moment?
Corner. I'm taking your first round corner. Unless one of 2 players falls that's an edge, but I think they're gone before Detroit. That's Jared Verse and Dallas Turner. I think they're both gone. I'll take which one of them isn't. If not, it's corner. Like I said, that's nothing against the corners on the roster right now. It's just the fact that the best teams in the league all have a true cornerback one that you just don't have to worry about. You just don't ever have to second guess. Like, you just know that he's there. And just knowing he's there puts teams off throwing his way. We don't have that. No one fears throwing at these corners, whether they're good or bad. I just want someone that can play mind games. You just know they're there, and they're just, maybe I won't go that way. But yeah, that is defensive line, cornerback. They're my first probably 2 picks. But I'm also understanding that I still know in the back of my head this offensive line could disintegrate within a year or 2, honestly. And I've got to be prepared for that. So yeah, if we do have if an offensive tackle, like say, don't sign the tag or gets let go, that's pretty good, I might be one at moving free agency. Not for this year, but the future. Like say, I will address the future, and I'll spend some money if needs be. They're my big 3 pieces right now.
Ash?
Yeah, I'm the same. I probably add Trice, the Washington edge, to that. I think he led the NCAA in pressures this year. He's pretty good. If he's there, I'd add him definitely onto this. Obviously, if Jared Verse falls there, then you guys better have the cameras ready, because I am going to be screaming. I'm going to be running around with my top off and that. Like, I'm going to be so happy. But yeah, it's corner. Like, it's got to be. Like, as much as I love Cam Sutton and we signed him to this big contract, he is probably better as a 2 than a 1. Jerry, probably better as the first guy off the bench, but at the same time, I think we said it last. I think me and Matt said it. He's probably better. Actually, he's probably, most of the good teams probably won't have him as the first guy off the bench. He's a good guy, but he might go and get paid somewhere else, especially this offseason with him being RFA. If we don't offer him what he wants, he might go somewhere else. I can see him signing with us still. Like, it's probably 10% chance he goes somewhere else, but we've got to definitely stock up a corner. We need someone opposite Hutch for pass rushing situations. And I think at the same time, in terms of the offensive line, it's day 2. It's day 2. And I know I'm stealing Ant's thunder here. This is completely his guy. And if you want to hear about him, I'm 99% sure he's going to be doing a film review of him. And you probably know who he is if you listen to the college show. Christian Haynes from UConn. Just slot him in at a right guard spot. There's that situation sorted. And I know we're probably going to re-sign Glasgow to back that up and to back up centre with Ragnar's injury. But signing Christian Haynes on the rookie contract, that's 4 years of really damn good guard play sorted for yourself. Saul will probably improve as well because you can trust that guy next to him. I don't think Haynes has got injured that much in college, and he hasn't given up a pressure in a season or so. That will sort it right out. And then day 3, maybe a swing tackle that you might be able to project to have some starting quality in the next couple of years. But for the most part, it is going to be drafted next year. That maybe I'm looking at when Decker is coming towards the end of that deal. that's when I'm looking for it, because at this point there was just other needs: corner, edge. I'd say wide receiver as well. So if a Roma Dunze maybe falls just in the first round, if a Johnny Wilson's there in the second, I would have said Torrey Horton, who's another Ant guy, but unfortunately he's gone back this year. If there's someone there that can fit that skill set that can in the future replace Reynolds, I'm looking at as well. Offensive, as I said in Discord earlier, offensive line isn't high on my priorities unless Ragnar retires, in which case it's panic stations. We need to be looking at those. But I can see that but I think the Bears are probably going to draft one to start the second. Cedric Van Fran, I think, is the Georgia center, or the Oregon center, whose name I can't remember. Those are probably the guys to look out for in terms of centers.
Kicker.
Yeah, kicker. Kicker
We
has
need
to
to
be
weigh
on
on
the
kicker.
but
Everyone.
late day 3. So there's a question from Mike Narine as well. Is there any free agent cornerbacks who interest you? I'm just looking at the list now. Yes, there is. Also, in terms of cornerbacks, and I know that there's a massive difference between what we think of the class now and what we think of the class in 3-4 months' time when we actually get to the draft. But right now, my perception is that there's maybe 3 or 4 corners worthy of day 1 or 2. Like, I don't think it's a particularly strong cornerback class, which means if you take one, you're probably likely overdrafting them because teams who have a need there are going to go and get them. So you may have to jump those people. I do not think necessarily the value is there at corner, even though we really need one. I'm a fan of just doing what we've always done in the draft, which is go best player available. And there are 2 positions, as far as I know right now from what I've listened to, and I've not done any first-hand research. The strongest positions in the draft in day 1 and 2 are wide receiver and offensive tackle. Those are the 2 positions where there's a huge amount of depth and a huge amount of players. Now, maybe that means you don't have to draft them high. You can get them a bit later. But there's meant to be like 7 or 8 first-round worthy tackles, which is insane. And then there's like 18 top 100 wide receivers. So go and get your X and go and get your tackle of the future. And I don't like suggesting that because I really like Decker. But if you get a tackle who's got inside-out versatility, who can provide a backup at left guard to replace Taylor eventually at left tackle, or to start at right guard and kick out to left tackle, like we've seen Green Bay do, just shuffle around guys like Elton Jenkins. Like, go and get your Elton Jenkins. There's got to be one in there. There's so many good tackles. It feels like you're missing out if you don't go and draft one there. And the thing is, draft one high, but it means you're not drafting one if you're not sure about who they are, because you've got such choice, which means you're probably drafting for value even if there's lots of them available. So that's my philosophy in terms of how it goes. I really want a corner. But in terms of the free agents that are available, there's lots of big names in free agency.
My phone's going to die, guys, so I'm going to shoot.
All right, I'll see you soon, Ray. So, Ash, I mean, is there anyone from the cornerback free agent class that you're looking at?
I was just looking at the I miss it's Tankathon's rankings, but they're the guys looking at his too. You're saying about a guy who can slide outside the tackle but play inside. Guy instantly sprang to mind. I've double checked, and he is ranked first round. Graham Barton out of Duke. He's someone I remember because obviously FSU played him this year. There's your guy for that. He probably will be projected to go to Dolphins 29, but I'm just looking now, stalling for time. But I think I'm looking now. There we go. I'm looking now. Yeah, some big names, obviously Dory Jackson, Kendall Fuller, Gilmore. But honestly, there's no one really jumping out at me. And then as soon as I see Rocky, even he's getting old. It's quite a lot of guys that are.
But he's 27 and a half now. Give him a 3-year deal, he would be 31. It's a sort of similar age to when we let go of Darius Slay.
Yeah.
You know? We didn't want to give a contract to a guy who would be year 30 at the end of that deal. And it's like, come on, just take a good player.
Exactly him. Though I would have to check how he's done in Tennessee this year, but Sean Murphy Bunting, former Tampa corner, him, because he's done both schemes. So in Tampa, he's obviously played both man heavy and he's played in zone. It's in Tennessee this year. I'll have to check him.
I mean, you have to think Akello Witherspoon is going to get a big deal from the Rams,
Yeah,
but he's
exactly.
he's getting paid $1 million at age 28 right now. What
Exactly.
a bargain that is.
Yeah.
There's L'Jarius Sneed. You got to think he's going to get paid, but I think that would be quite interesting. Who else is in here? You've got.
I would have to check Christian Fulton. There's someone coming off his rookie deal. Big draft fight. He could be decent. After again, obviously we know. Obviously, we'll come to this with free agency down the line. We'll probably do our in-depth looks. But yeah, there's a couple of guys there. It's just again, it's maybe we can do what we tried to do this year. We sign a guy, and then try and look to draft one. Like obviously, again, stealing from Ant, but both Ant and Rye. Trust me, if you guys don't listen to the college podcast, listen to it now. Especially Rye. Rye can pick a DB out of nowhere, and it comes dead ball out. Proof and point of that, the special teams tackle Matt mentioned earlier on Khalif, that was Riley Moss, who was one of Rye's draft crushes this year. This year's got Cooper DeJean, who has rose from day 2 to being a borderline first round guy. Like, trust me, like I had the big hit with Kirby. I try and spread myself out. I'm good for like one player a year usually, but trust me, these draft shows are going to be so good with us. Even Tom, I vividly remember Tom's review of Jamison Williams in that draft cycle, and now it's all coming true. So I'm just Matt knows how hot I am for the draft. I love the draft.
Yeah, the draft is great, isn't it? I mean, there's other guys in here that's the same sort of range that we tried to pay Mosley at, like Chidobe Awuzie would be interesting. Yeah. Levi Wallace would be interesting.
Wallace, I think, is slot. He's more of a slot guy.
Yeah, he is more of a slot guy.
Maybe, if I remember rightly, he's distinctly a man coverage corner. And I think we're trying to go zone heavy, but I can see it. He's got speed. And I know he made some plays in the Super Bowl for the Bengals, I think it was, because Apple was just getting burned.
Yeah, he did. If you want a player who's going to be dependable on the outside without being remarkable, Shaq Griffin for Carolina, I think, has had a reasonable season.
Or, I know we played them this week, Fabian Moreau's a free agent.
Yeah, I saw that too. Deal. And I mean, if you want to make a splash, and if the Bears are consistently want to piss him off,
Jalen Johnson.
Go and get Jalen Johnson. Like, just chuck him the... Why don't you go out there, draft a guard, don't pay Jonah, and pay Jalen Johnson with that money? Because it's similar money.
See, I would say yes, but at the same time, you're creating 2 holes then, because we know... Unless you're instantly re-signing Glasgow and you're slotting him in at right guard.
Yes,
okay. I was going to say, because otherwise you're creating 2 holes, because then you need to get 2 guards then. But if we're keeping Graham and his swan pass around. But here's a fun, because I've just been scrolling down and see Jerry's on there. Can you guess what Spot Track's calculated market value for Jerry is? Because I'm looking at it and I might not pay it him.
$6 million. No?
Almost double. They've got him at 11.4 million AAV.
I wouldn't pay him 4.
Yeah, exactly. They've got him at 4 years, $45.98 million, which will be CB17, 17.5. I would not pay him.
He's not a starting corner in the NFL. That's a joke.
Yeah. That is mad.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, never mind the fact that he's a restricted free agent, so we can just give him the right of first refusal tender for 2.2, so they can get to fuck.
There you go, exactly, yeah.
That's insane.
We love Jerry to bits, but yeah, he's CB3-4 at best. He would be great at what Will Harris has been for us this year.
Yes. Yeah, utility player, can play safety or corner. I think,
Because we were trying to, I remember last year, so obviously not this year. Last year we were looking at him at slots. Obviously he's my height. He's 5'10". He's slot built.
Yeah.
So if your branch goes down and we don't have CJGJ, there's a dependable slot corner.
Yeah. So Hattis House just said, would you re-sign CJGJ?
Yes. One roughly to what he signed him to this year. Because when he's balling, he's balling.
What did you say? About?
Just in Jadlin Guidry. There's a under the radar guy. I remember him coming out because again, first time I was really looking at draft. Hasn't really done that. Like he hasn't really got that many snaps. But I think it was the Jets that drafted him. He's there now, but he's fast. And when he was coming out of the draft, he had some good coverage grades. So there's sort of like an under the radar, like sort of signing 1 year. So I know he's getting back 1 million this year, but it's exclusive rights. I've just seen, damn it. This is UDFA. That makes sense.
Brian Shook asks, which quarterbacks do you rank just above Trevor Lawrence and which ones do you rank just below him in terms of building around a quarterback? So he's using Trevor Lawrence as the quarterback surety line. Like, not the line where you're like, if it's below you need a guy and if it's above you're fine. I don't think this is the Andy Dalton line. I think this is the franchise quarterback line, if you know what I mean. Like, in between the Dalton line and the Lawrence line is the we might have our guy, but we're not sure. Which I think maybe is where Fields is on the lower end of. It's like in between Dalton and I quite like Dalton still.
That's the tough thing, because for me, I don't know where you are with Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is top 5-6 quarterbacks in the league. So that's a very high line for me, because
I think you can take the spirit of the question, though, as to he's putting the line somewhere, and who do you think's above and below the line for you? Who would you not build around?
Let me have a look. I'm getting the QB rankings up now, so let's have a look. I hate to say it because he has been playing at MVP level this year, but it's just the way the offenses are. I wouldn't build around Lamar because it's almost impossible to build a consistent year in, year out offense with him, because he's great with tight ends, he's good with running backs, and he's usually good with like a slot receiver. But in terms of what you need to be consistently explosive offense, using the outside receivers, he's a no-go. And obviously, it's saying he's on the older end, as I just see the FSU's got a massive transfer. Fuck. But yeah, just for him. Are we taking contracts? Is this with contracts value involved as well?
Yes, you have to take that into account.
Then Hurts, because I know Hurts just signed a massive extension with that contract hit again. He's got right now, you've got AJ Brown on a relatively cheap deal for what he is, because I know they signed an extension when they traded for him. That's come cheap. You've got Devonta Smith on a rookie deal, offensive line. So can he? We haven't really seen can he do it when it comes to it. Can he step up? Honestly, there's not that many players I would pick above T-Law to build around, which probably sounds dumb. There's probably guys I'm forgetting. It's like T-Law, Stroud, Mahomes, because he's shown he can do it. Maybe Josh Allen.
Tua?
Maybe. Like, again, I don't know what he's like. It's taking the system into account with him, because he's got Waddle, he's got Hill, he's got those running back stables, and he's got a really good offense. I think the system's bulking him up a tiny bit. He's good, don't get me wrong, but you look at his best years, it was when he was on a loaded Alabama team and a loaded Miami team, when he had to sort of be the guy those couple of years in between. He wasn't that good, so I don't trust him fully. It's like the same with Kyler. Kyler, when he's on, he's great, but when he's not, it's really bad. I don't trust him.
Okay, so let's go on to a slight variant of the question, which is in between T-Law and the Dalton line, or below the Dalton line, and where on that scale people are. So let's go for Kirk Cousins.
He is the Dalton line for me now.
Really? That far down?
Yes. Like, he's really good. Don't get me wrong, but for me, look up because the contract is to do contracts again. With the money he demands, he's sort of that, because he's the kind of guy. He's really good, but do you really want to keep signing him to these big deals? Is he really worth the 45 to 50 million? Yeah. That's where it comes in. Like,
I agree. There's much more value taking a cheaper quarterback who isn't as good to try and build a team around. And I think I buy into that wholeheartedly. But there's so few quarterbacks who are good enough to be value for money at that lower end, because Derek Carr's getting paid, Ryan Tannehill's getting paid, Deshaun Watson's obviously getting paid a huge amount, and that's just egregious. Garoppolo's getting paid. There's not many on the lower end of this. So Kyler Murray, where I know you said when he's good, but when he's not, he's not. Where is he on the scale for you?
Above. I know I keep making the same joke over and over. He looks like a toddler when he runs, but he's got the arm strength, he's got the mobility. When he's there and he's got the system around him, the players, he can do it. Like, I remember when they traded for New Hopkins, and him and Kyler were just on it. you've got that in there. Like, well, again, we're using Cousins. Cousins can sit in a pocket and deliver passes. He's probably more consistent. But for me, Kyler gives you that better chance to win the big overall thing, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a QB who you can feasibly win the Super Bowl with.
Mayfield, I'm with.
Oh,
I feel like he's the new Dalton line because he,
actually, yeah, he is. Yeah,
he's a sort of guy
Perfect,
that if
yeah.
he's a perfect bridge, he's not going to get butthurt if you replace him with a new young guy. He's going to give you, at times, really good quarterback play. Like, he was fantastic this week.
But he needs nothing around him like Dalton did.
Yeah, but at the same time, I wouldn't be scared with paying him $20 million a year.
Yeah.
Like, that seems like quite a lot for someone at his level. But at the same time, if you're saving $30 million on the big-time quarterbacks and you can put a weapon and a weapon on defense to surround him and protect the other side of the ball, I think that's worth it.
You know what? Yeah, I can completely back that. And again, because he has the highest, he was drafted number 1 overall for a reason.
Right. I think we're going to end it there because we've been going a while. Ash, great stuff as always. Guys in the chat, fantastic as always. Appreciate you very, very much. We'll speak to you on Thursday, but for now, see you soon. Bye.